get to our seats. All right, let's go ahead and call this Pompano Beach City Commission and Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency special joint meeting and special meeting of the CRA and special meeting of the Pompano Beach City Commission call to order May 14th, 2025, shortly after 6 p.m. If I could ask everyone who's here and also who's outside, could you please put your cell phones on silent or vibrate? That way we don't get disrupted during our meeting. I know it's it always happens. Somebody leaves their cell phone on. At least it's not going to be me. I checked mine earlier. So please just check your cell phones there. It'd be great. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fezzik.
Here.
Commissioner Perkins.
Here.
Commissioner Seegerson-Eaton.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fournier.
Here.
Mayor Harton.
Here, thank you. If we can please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, give us wisdom to consider the items before us tonight for the city of Pompano Beach. Do your bidding as best we can with your guidance. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good, thank you. Right, Mr. Harrison, are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
No, sir.
Very good, thank you. Can I get a motion approving the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, that takes us up to, we will now commence the special joint meeting of the City Commission of Pompano Beach and Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, shortly after 6 p.m. All right, at this point in time, I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Sybil. We have a presentation, I believe.
We do. Good
Very
evening,
good.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Suzette Sybil, Assistant City Manager. It has been quite a journey. I'm really excited tonight to see the crowd and the room for this very transformative downtown project. The City Commission and CRA Board approved a master development agreement with Roca Point Partners on June 20th, 2024 to serve as our partners and master developers for the downtown. We do have a PowerPoint prepared for you this evening. We're going to start out with Mr. Nguyen Tran, our CRA Director. He's going to talk a little bit about the outreach that we've had over the last few months and what we've heard from the community and how we're trying to meet the wants and wishes of the community and some of the things that we're proposing for the City Commission and CRA Board's approval this evening. Then we're going to have HOK, the architects for the Civic Building, City Hall and the parking garage. They'll do a presentation on the City Hall design. Then we'll talk about funding options for the civic buildings as well as funding for the infrastructure for the project. Then we will have Mr. Patrick Leonard with Roca Point Partners. He's going to get up and talk a little bit about all the work that has to be done on the land in the downtown to make it developable and marketable so that we can get the best bang for our buck when we go to sell those pads to developers. And finally, we will have Mr. Eric Singer with Bilzum Sumberg. He's external counsel for the city and CRA, and he'll talk a little bit about the city and CRA obligations in the master development agreement. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn things over to Mr. Nguyen Tran.
Very good.
Good evening, Mayor, Chair.
Also, just an announcement, if everybody can please speak into the microphone and try and speak loudly. That way everybody can hear and also at home. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, Chair, Mayor, Vice Chair, and also Vice Mayor, members of the CRA Board and City Commission. Nguyen Tran, I'm the CRA Director. A lot of people say I'm not very excitable. You know, those that know me, I'm very calm, but this is very exciting for the city of Pompano. We've been talking about this for a very long time. I'm here to really summarize the community outreach and really all the meetings. We've had a lot of meetings since the signing of the master development agreement. We started off with 5 roundtable meetings. A lot of you were there. A lot of the commissioners were there as well. We had 2 architect outreach meetings. We had a joint workshop with the commission on the architect meeting. We had 3 joint city CRA meetings, this being the 3rd one. Commissioner Perkins also hosted a community Q&A meeting where myself, Phil Mays, and Suzette attended. And Lotus Mindset was also there. They hosted a series of around the dinner table discussions at Bojo's Seafood. So I think we're all meeting out. This is really the last one for this for now. So, you know, what was very resounding that I've noticed through all these meetings, I've attended all the meetings, were 3 real key issues for the Northwest residents. The first one, some residents didn't feel that they could see themselves in this development. That was very resounding. Another one was we can't afford to live in the downtown. Another one was from the ones who supported the downtown. They want a seat at the table. They want to be inclusive, not excluded from there. The downtown project, a lot of people have heard me, this is an opportunity. You know, all the jobs, all the training, all the new businesses, these are all byproducts of development. Development makes it happen. Development of this scale is very inclusive of everybody, especially in the Northwest as the downtown is in District 4. But what the project also does is it gives us an opportunity from the city and the CRA to listen to the community and what we have heard. What we've heard was we want jobs, we want permanent jobs, we want temporary jobs, we want job training, we want to open new businesses. How can we do that? How can the CRA or the city do that? You know, we want to build generational wealth for the Northwest. And also we want to be able to afford to be part of it. What you're going to hear during the CRA meeting and also the commission are the items that as staff, as the CRA, as the city on how we can address some of these wants from the community. We also hear a lot about the fear of gentrification. Well, that's very complicated, right? Because gentrification has a lot of factors that this downtown or this project has nothing to do with. We can't control insurance rates. We're in an insurance crisis. We can't control people moving down here overpaying for property or bidding wars on property. What that means is all the comparables go up. So your taxes go up. So those things we can't control. What we can control is that we have an opportunity to include everybody. This is a very unique area. As you know it, a lot of it is already vacant. Those that used to own property here have long gone. They've relocated somewhere else. So this is very different. But what you really need to do is focus on what is gentrification, because to understand it, the opposite is an area of disinvestment, right? We are now in a position with a private sector developer to reinvest in the area. This area didn't get this way overnight. It took years to get to this point. So now we're in a position where the city has committed, the CRA has committed, the private sector has committed to reinvest in this area. Those that own property, that are homesteaded, don't worry about it. I mean, you're capped. You're capped at your tax rate, so your tax rate can only go up a certain percentage. For those that want to buy homes, we can be there as well. We can help offset through buy downs or something like that. There's a lot of opportunities here, and my message here is this downtown, this project is an opportunity. There's a lot of forms that were available at these outreach meetings. A lot of them were about if you're a business, if you're a resident, you want to be part of it, you want jobs, training. We got a total of 256 forms back. These forms are also available online, and we're still getting signed forms in today. So the outreach effort continues. This project is not an overnight project. It is estimated to be 10, 15 years. So the outreach will continue. And what I can say is that everyone will be at the table moving forward. So with that said, let's go on with the rest of the presentation and what you all are here to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Vance Cheatham. And I am a design principal with HOK Architects. I'm the lead designer on the building that we're working on for the community. So I'm going to go through sort of where we are in the design process tonight. It's going to go relatively quick. It's not going to be painful, hopefully. This is really to give everybody sort of a handle on where we are in the phases that we're going through in a process of designing a city hall like this. So really in architecture, there are a lot of phases that go into the design and understanding how the building needs to work. But really, we have kind of simplified it down to these 4 phases that we're looking at. We have pretty much completed the immersion phase, and that is really where we sit and we interview people, interview the city, and we are pretty much identifying what are the goals that this building needs to resolve for the city. We're now in the second phase, which is called to ideate, which I think only architects use a word like that. That's really basically what it is.
Can I interrupt just for, can you get a little closer to the mic so we can hear you better? I'm sorry about that. Just, yeah, speak into the mic.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Thank you.
Shorter, I could do that. This phase is called ideate. And the idea there really is we are generating ideas. As we are looking at the building and adjacencies are identified, or the height of the building is identified, or the property size is identified, we are generating ideas to solve the building being able to sit and function within the area that it works and how it contributes to the community. We are in that process right now, and the images we're going to show pretty much are reinforcing that. We don't have a lot of images because we are moving relatively fast, and what we're showing is still a relatively fluid idea that's working. So, and then create, that's actually the phase where we begin to, what an architect would call the construction documents and the specifications, where we're really beginning to look at how the building can kind of go together. And then we are looking at implementation. That is where the construction begins, and we do construction administration, and we oversee the building being built. So those are kind of the phases that we're dealing with. So, within this, within the phase of ideate that we're working with, we are really listening to a lot of the aspects of how the site needs to work for the city. And one of the things that has come to the surface is the need to understand the green spaces that are associated with this building, how this building sits on the site and how it weaves itself into that site, and how it engages a lot of what's going on in the city as far as amplifying and trying to work with more green spaces and green areas that are immediately adjacent to major thoroughfares, things like that. So we're looking hard at making sure that we work within that as well. We are also looking at resolving the setbacks. And when an architect talks about setbacks, really what that is saying is that there is a criteria for where the building needs to sit adjacent to things like roads, so that you don't have buildings right up on top of roads and making uncomfortable spaces for pedestrians. This is really about paying attention to the setbacks and, once again, making the building be a friendly gesture towards the community as they come towards the building and circulate around the building, which brings up also the consideration for pedestrian traffic. I think everybody knows it's on the corner of Atlantic and Dixie Highway. Highly congested, lots of cars going by, not a lot of pedestrian traffic, but there's a lot of effort being put in, bike lanes, and fundamentally there will be evolution on this site where typically there will be a bit more pedestrian traffic, so we need to pay attention to that on all sides of the buildings. There is the street side, but on the back side of the building, and it's kind of funny, there really is no front and back of this building. There is a sort of vehicular side, and then there's more of a pedestrian side. On that pedestrian side, it's going to face sort of a village green. We need to make sure that we understand the scale of that and work within that sort of realm too. So that's what we're really kind of looking at this phase. So, kind of just to start with, I'm going to go through the images that you're seeing right here from right to left. The image you're seeing on the right-hand side of this is what we would call as the site plan. And that's as if you're floating directly above the site looking down on the buildings. And so the two shapes that you're seeing, the lower one, that is the actual footprint of the city hall. That's what it would look like if you're looking on its roof. You can see there's a little bit of a green buffer down near the intersection of where Dixie and Atlantic intersect. Then the other rectangle that's above it on the top part of that image, that's actually a parking deck. And then in between those, we are showing a relatively wide pedestrian plaza that you can walk through. Also importantly, as you drive by, we want you to be able to look through that corridor and see the building, because right now the idea is that's where the main entrance to the building is going to be. So that is the site plan. The other two images that we're showing there are just quick representations of reference images, projects we've done in the past, projects that we admire. So what we're showing here really is, in the middle image, what you're seeing is when you have a level change, which we will have on this site, we have to build up the building a little bit per code. That means its foundation, the ground floor lifts up a bit. It is in a kind of a floodplain area. So there will be a moment where people have to circulate up a little bit and down to engage the other areas. So we want to be very careful how we create the handicap accessible ramps, the stairs, and the terracing. Frankly, we think that works in our favor. We think landscape-wise that this is something that we can successfully do, and you'll see in a couple renderings or drawings in a few minutes. And then at the extreme left, what we're showing is elevated sort of planting areas that have seat walls associated with it. What we're trying to do is create areas where pedestrians can move through an area like this, but still have green, and actually still create a scenario where people can sit and interact with each other. So that's kind of a process that we use to visualize or ideate on the design of the building. This is another series of images, and really what this is quickly just to remind us that where the building is located is immediately adjacent to a very strong public realm. It's going to be a public green that is going to need to be highly active and really embrace a lot of activities that these type of developments are going to bring to this portion of city. So we need to engage that to a degree. We don't necessarily control this area. We understand the value and that an adjacency like that does bring to a building like this, that is so geared towards the general public in a public space that works and accommodates public activities. So that's really what we're kind of looking to create. Now, the next image I'm going to bring up is an architectural model. And these things have a way of fooling people to a degree, so I just want to say, these are models that we build relatively quickly. They begin to take on the look of a photoreal idea. It is not real yet. This is something that's still very fluid, still working to get this right. So you're going to see a view. It can be intimidating to some people, but really what it's trying to do is help you visualize what we're thinking of architecturally. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this is a view as if you're standing on the corner of Dixie and Atlantic and you're looking towards the site. This is sort of the eastern side of the building. So what we have is a really long face of a building that's facing a very highly public road. And there is a need for a shading coefficient here. There's a lot of glass involved in buildings like this a lot of times, but it's not all glass. At the same time, we need to understand that there is the potential for energy efficiency, and a shading system like this works in our favor. There's a lot of ways we can do this shading system. The building has a gentle curve to it, which is meant to be sort of a friendly gesture. You can see also the building is kind of lifted up off the ground, and it's very glassy on that entry level. The idea here is it's projecting welcomeness, that this is glassy and open to the general public so people can interact with the building. We are still doing daylight studies with the shading system here. This isn't locked in place. One of the things that we think is interesting about this shading system is it has a sort of a curvilinear feel to it. And metaphorically, we're looking at obviously water, we're looking at sand, the way it curves, and the way an organic sort of shape like this can work for us. The daylight studies a lot of times give us sort of organic shapes that we work on here. So that is kind of the idea right now. The other thing I would point out is beyond to the right in the image, what you're seeing there is a parking deck. and it has a similar shading system on it. And I will say in the model, that shading system is not showing as strongly as we really want it to. But we're still showing it to you because I think it's helpful to kind of see the process as we go through this. Next image I'm going to put up is our first experiment with playing with the amount of shades on the building and the actual color of the building. So what you're seeing here is we've played a little bit with the reduction of the fins on the building, the shading part of it, and we're playing with the color. We're looking for actually a warm tone. A lot of what we've been showing is sort of white and a little bit too cool. We think a warm, more organic type of natural color is more appropriate. And that's what we're sort of playing with. I have to kind of give a heavy caveat here too. Every computer screen is calibrated differently. What reads in my office as dark and foreboding a lot of times will burn up and be too bright in certain situations, especially large monitors like this. So the color is still fluid, but I would say fundamentally we are looking at a warm, natural color that we think softens the building and helps make it approachable. The other thing we're looking at is the actual intersection where Dixie and Atlantic come together. Originally, we were showing a pocket park. And the dilemma we were creating was that we were giving that corner too much of a separate identity from the building. And that's not really what we want. We honestly want as much property as we can, so we're kind of grabbing the building and sliding a little bit towards Atlantic. We're reducing the size of that green area, but it is still a nice green sort of area buffer that's there. You can also see that we're exploring the opportunities that a corner gives us, and that is a sort of a gateway moment. This is a very important vehicular area, and you're going to move into a part of town where the city hall is. So a lot of times, areas like this have terracing, and that's what the examples are you're seeing on the left, where there is a bold marquee kind of sign. It's called a gateway sign that really identifies a part of town. A lot of times these areas also incorporate water features and things like that, so we're exploring the potential of that also. Fundamentally, what we're working with right now is the idea of, once again, sort of terracing up the planting beds so that it gives a certain human scale to it, but yet ultimately has the kind of the height and the magnitude that an area like this and a building like this needs as far as identifying it with signage or the gateway component. So these are really kind of early studies on how this part of the building faces the city. So as I mentioned earlier, we are also always looking at solar orientation and the utility of parking. There is a fair amount of parking that we're trying to accommodate on this site. The idea is that a lot of people are going to be drawn to this area, and we would like to kind of create the amount of parking that could accommodate that, so people park there immediately adjacent to City Hall and can quickly move into that sort of public green. So we're working with that aspect of it too. So this is an image, it's another kind of a line drawing black and white image. This is if you're kind of floated up in the air and you're looking down on that space between the building and the parking deck. And you can see here we're studying the sort of the fins a little bit differently. We want these buildings to speak to each other, but we don't want them to be exactly the same. We think it helps to give them a little bit of a separate identity. But in architecture, we would say they have the same vernacular. They're sort of weaving themselves together, but they still have a little bit of their own identity. The other thing we're looking at here is, of course, the shading structure that's associated with that space in between it. We want this to be a pleasant space to walk through. And below this, we have a covered area so that if you park in the deck and you're going to the City Hall, you are covered from blowing rain. We are looking at the idea of creating potentially a walkway on top of that covering for the upper part of the deck for employee parking, so they have a dedicated way to get into the building too. Plus, it kind of creates a scenario where people are willing to park more on different higher levels of the parking deck. So this is a quick study looking at that aspect of it. We also are exploring color in this one too, and these are really examples, once again, of other areas where we've had connecting bridges and things like that that work with the traffic that comes out of a parking deck and engages the building. We are looking at this as a pleasant sort of public area, but also as you drive by in a vehicle, you would be able to look and see the front area, the front door of the building. So this is a view on the west side of the building. This is as if you've gone completely around the building and now you're standing on the city green and you're looking back at the building. To the left, you're seeing the parking deck. Once again, we're still playing with the louvers on that parking deck. It's not quite where we need it to be as far as speaking to the city hall, but it's beginning to start with the language that we think is probably appropriate. What's interesting about this view, we have kept it simple once again, but it is a little bit hard to read if you're not used to looking at things like this. But fundamentally, what's close to us is sort of the village green. Once again, the parking deck's on the left. You can see this shade structure that's between the city hall and the parking deck. And that sort of curved shape that you see coming out, that is the chamber like this, that has been rotated out from underneath the footprint of the building to allow us to put more departments and areas that the general public wants to engage with when they first walk into City Hall. Right now, the way a lot of city halls work is you go in, you go up an elevator or a stair, and you immediately get lost in a labyrinth of corridors. The idea here is to create a first floor that really greets everybody who comes in and quickly identifies the areas that most people are trying to go to. So those will be located in the main footprint of the building, and then the actual chamber will rotate out. So we've also done a couple of color studies on this too, so I'm gonna switch to a color study on this. So it helps a little bit. You can see it's got a glassiness to it, which we like, still has the shading system. And now we have a kind of a warm-toned curvilinear element, which is the chamber that has kind of rotated out from underneath the main footprint, as I said. If you look close, you can see that we are a little bit on a plinth of the site, and we're kind of cascading down with steps and seating leading towards the village green, and the parking deck is on the left side. This is something we are playing a lot with the color of the glass. We're playing with the amount of glass that we're showing and also how many shading devices are associated with this. But this is, we think, programmatically it is moving in the correct direction. One thing that has come up is that upper roof area that's on top of that's above the chamber proper is an opportunity to create sort of a rooftop terrace. And that's something that we like because it sort of reinforces the use of this space after hours. I mean, it has one programmatic need like this, to have city council meetings. The idea is for the building to still be able to function after hours so that you could have events that would be rented in this space. It would be adjacent to a very public area. So the idea that other type of groups and individuals and organizations besides just the city council could use this, almost like a convention center, something that we're exploring also. So, go to the next slide. So this is, once again, these are the sort of views that architects do. We're sort of lifted up in the air again, and we're looking down on that curved shape that has that chamber in it. And you can see we have this sort of serpentine, almost nautilus shell shape here. We are trying to work metaphorically with those sort of curvilinear organic shapes that you find on the coast. The way water flows around something, that is what we're kind of metaphorically looking at. But you can see this is a nice, pleasant sort of rooftop area. You could see simple events, weddings or something like that being able to take place up here. Just a nice area to be on. One of the things we're showing too is the access of stairs, one set of stairs. They can get up to that terrace for the general public. Obviously, we have to really pay attention to these types of opportunities. We do not want people getting on the roof that are not supposed to be on the roof. These things can be secured and still be welcoming. So we are working with this idea of this sort of roof terrace. And the reference image you're seeing on the left-hand side shows raised planting beds and sort of shade structures that are associated with spaces like this. We all know that shade is important in areas like this. If you're going to really compel people to get out into the outside and into a public space like this, you've got to give people opportunities to get out of the sun. And that's it.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Very good, thank you for that. Next up.
Okay.
Oop, the microphone.
Sandra.
We need to do something about the microphones in this place.
It's funny, when it happened to Vance, I was like, finally somebody else. This thing doesn't like me. So I'm going to talk about the financing for the civic buildings. And I just wanted to reiterate that on June 20th, 2024, the City Commission and CRE Board approved a master development agreement with Roca Point Partners. And as part of that agreement, it obligated the city and the CRE to meet certain obligations. Roca had their own obligations in the agreement as well. And one of the things we were obligated to do is to construct new civic facilities in the downtown. What do I mean by civic facilities? At the time last June, they included a new city hall, a new parking garage, and a new community center in the downtown project. Now, as part of the agreement, when it was approved, it provided two possible funding options to help to raise the funding to allow us to construct those civic facilities. It allowed us to utilize private financing. So on your screen, you see the left side of the screen talks about private financing. What does that mean? It basically said that Roca Point Partners could borrow the funds needed to construct those assets on our behalf, and then we would make an annual lease payment to Roca Point Partners over a certain term, which is 30 years, and the maximum amount that the City Commission and CRE approved that we could spend on that annual lease payment was $12.9 million per year. There was an 8% interest rate that was indicated at the time. We signed off on that $12.9 million annual commitment, and we estimated that it would cost us over the 30 years, principal and interest, all in $368 by the time we financed that over the 30-year time frame. But also, in the agreement, it provided an alternative option. We left the door open. We said we wanted to be able to contemplate and look at market conditions again, evaluate all factors as we moved into the project and we progressed over the last few months. We wanted to be able to contemplate public financing. So what public financing now means, instead of Roca issuing the debt and we making an annual lease payment to them, the city would directly issue the debt ourselves, and we would in turn have to pay a same lease payment, but we would go to the public marketplace to do that. So we would, and you'll see an agenda item in a few minutes that talks about asking the commission to contemplate that item for approval. Now, if we were to move forward with public financing, we estimate that the annual lease payment would drop from $12.9 million a year to $9.1 million. The interest rate would drop from 8% to 5.2%, and the total amount paid over the 30 years would drop from $368 million to $268 million. And that would result in a savings to the city and its residents of $100 million. So again, our two options under the Master Development Agreement, we're obligated, we have to construct City Hall in the garage, in the downtown, the civic facilities. These are our options. Option A, private financing. Option 2, public financing. What we're going to be recommending to the City Commission later on this evening is to go with option B. We want to save the residents and the city $100 million. Now, one of the benefits about doing that is we talked about community engagement. We talked about, throughout our meetings over the last couple of months, meeting with the District 4 Commissioner, the developer, and members of the team have done that. We've heard the community. We know that there are a lot of things out there that are of interest to the community. We talked about constructing a new vocational center, a new college resource center, incorporating historical, cultural, and heritage aspects throughout the development. We talked about incentives to incentivize developers to provide for local business participation in the downtown. What this savings allows us to do now is to contemplate all of those we refer to them as additional project elements as part of this project. It allows us to absorb those costs into these savings. These savings won't be eaten up by all of those things, but my point is that by dropping that annual lease payment and reducing what we're going to pay over the 30-year term, it frees up all of these resources to go towards supporting all of those elements. So that's another big plus for us pursuing the public financing over the private financing option. Our other obligation under the Master Development Agreement is last year, June 20th, 2024, the City Commission and CRA Board obligated us to pay for infrastructure in the downtown project. So what I mean by that, it's really all of the unglamorous stuff, right? Per se, it's all of the horizontal stuff. It's the underground and the utilities. It's stormwater drainage. It's the roads in the downtown. It's things of that nature. So we committed that we were going to fund that infrastructure for the downtown project. Now, in a minute, I'll go into some detail about why that's integral to the project. And I'll start out by talking about the land in the downtown. Now, the land in the downtown currently, it's not developable. It has a lot of issues, right? We've hired Roca Point Partners as our partner and our master developer to go in there and get those pads ready for resale. So I'm going to bring up Mr. Leonard with Roca Point Partners, and he's going to talk a little bit more and get into details about what that means, and then I'll take it back from him.
Thank you. Good evening, Patrick Leonard, Roca Point Partners. As we mentioned last time, the CRA has done a great job of assembling a lot of property. But with that, the next step in the process really is getting it in a, developing it into a new format that makes it developable. So part of our roles when we do this on other projects, the next step in the process is kind of fixing all the issues that have been there for a long time. We've retained Keith Engineering to assist us with all this. So on the first part of the issues, there's environmental issues on the property we have to resolve. There's new FEMA maps, flood issues. We have to abandon right-of-ways. There's zoning issues. There's easement issues, overhead lines, power lines. That's going to take quite a bit to get those buried. We have to replat the land. There's a lot of stormwater management. Again, that goes with the FEMA issues and other stormwater management. We have to raise the whole site to get out of the floodplain. There's zoning revisions. We have to do a whole new layout on access, egress, et cetera. We have to move a lift station. So this is probably another year's worth of work to get through all of these issues just to resolve it, to make it sort of developable property and, you know, kind of make it where it's sellable to build future vertical on it. The other part of what we do, though, is that's the technical part that we have to resolve. And there's a lot to it, but we do this on other projects, and I'm actually a civil engineer, so we actually like doing that. But the other part, which is kind of the fun part, is all the master planning. And, you know, as we situate City Hall and we situate the rest of the civic buildings, there's a lot that goes into the master planning, just like we talked about the architecture. And it's really important. I think the whole concept here is a very pedestrian-friendly mixed-use development where people live there, they work there, they can go out to eat there. It's a great place to go on the weekends. You bring your family. It's got a common big green space that can be activated. You can have music on it. Just a good place to go that people want to be. And that's the ultimate goal of the project. So we're going to spend the next year working on that. And you know, there'll be a lot of feedback from everybody, including the commission, of, you know, what that looks like, how that works. This question is, do you need the linear waterway? You might not need all of it. You might need some of it for drainage. But it's really important that the whole project is a great place that people want to be in the future. And it's got a great green space, and it can do things, you know, 7 days a week, where there's stuff going on there almost every night. And that's kind of what you want on these things. That's what makes these projects successful. And once, you know, you have all that, people want to live there, people want to work there, people want to be there, restaurants want to open there. And that's ultimately what our goal is. So again, Keith's going to help us with that. We're going to have some architects, we're going to have some planners, we're going to bring in some additional resources over the next year and ultimately build that out. And as we build that out and we correct all the problems, we still have to put in, you know, all the stormwater management. We have to put in all the new water lines, sewer lines. We mentioned last time on our other projects, we do giga fiber neighborhoods where we make sure all the fiber is, you know, good for the next 50 years. We do 10 gig fiber neighborhoods. We make sure all the power is underground and redundant where it's not going to be impacted by storms. We make sure there's enough power for all the future. So we bring all that and create the master plan. And as we create this master plan, we're going to bring in outside developers. We don't build the whole project ourselves. We'll bring in other people. We like, you know, whether it's local or regional hotel partners or local or regional multifamily builders. You know, if there's corporate office tenants that want to be there, you know, we're going to market this once we get it into the appropriate form. We're we're going to market this out to everybody to bring in more people to help us develop this project. And again, we're hoping, you get a world-class project here that everybody wants to be in, everybody's proud of, and ultimately, create, it's called Downtown Pompano Beach, and we want you to create a Downtown Pompano Beach. And our role really on this is to be the partner of the city, right? So we're looking out for the city's interest. We are in a partnership. So ultimately, we want to create a really good project for the city.
So it was important that Patrick kind of went over all of the things that we still need to do to get the pads ready for resale. And that falls under infrastructure funding, because that is how we're funding all of that work that still needs to be done to get the pads ready for resale. So with that, I did want to talk and highlight the linear stormwater drainage system. There's been a lot of discussion over the last months concerning this system. What is it? What's the function of it? And we just want to highlight how integral this infrastructure system is to the city, is to the project. It increases the property values of the pads owned by the CRA in the area, because when developers come in and there's water and the pads are next to water, that's an automatic increase in the value of those pads for the CRA. Also, because we are going through the exercise of putting in that linear infrastructure feature, when developers come to the table to purchase those pads, they don't have to worry about putting in that infrastructure themselves. It's already installed, and again, that makes the pads more marketable to the developers. That means that we can once again sell the pads for a higher value and get those proceeds back to the CRA. And finally, it's an innovative feature, right? We talked about how beautiful it is. It's an amenity. It would be nice to sit in a restaurant and look out at the waterway as you're having lunch with your family. So again, it's going to be a beautiful feature for residents and visitors to enjoy in the city. Right now, I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Eric Singer. He's with Bills and Sundberg, and again, he's external counsel for the city and the CRA, and he's going to be talking about key city and CRA obligations under the Master Development Agreement.
Good evening. Eric Singer with Bills and Sundberg. I lead our public-private partnership practice and had the opportunity to work for the city on negotiating these agreements. I was last here last June when the city and CRA voted to approve the agreements, and just want to talk about a couple key provisions in the agreements relative to the votes you're being asked to make today. So first relates to the civic buildings, and you've heard about the financing for the civic buildings as well as the financing for the linear system, the master drainage project. Those are really two different obligations under the agreements, two different projects under the agreements. So starting with the civic buildings, the way this agreement is structured is the developer has an obligation to deliver the civic buildings. The developer also has an obligation to finance the civic buildings, put up its own capital, secure its own financing, and then after the buildings are delivered to the city pays lease payments, which is how the developer recoups its investment. As Ms. Sybil noted, the agreement gives the city an option, not an obligation, but an option to instead finance the civic buildings itself. Now, when the agreements were negotiated, that option was important because we knew this decision was going to be made in the future. Financial markets fluctuate all the time in terms of private financing versus public financing, and the city wanted to preserve that option because when it was time to make the decision, no one really knew what the markets would be. And Ms. Sybil just went through kind of the current numbers and what it looks like, the private versus the public. So city has that option. That's what's being presented to you today with respect to the civic buildings, exercising the option of the city to use public financing instead of private financing. If the city does not choose to exercise that option, then the developer would remain obligated to deliver the civic buildings with the private financing. So, the agreement provides for the two alternatives. The default is the private financing. That's the developer's obligation. City has the option, and you have that's part of the item today for you to exercise that option. All right, second is the master infrastructure, which is primarily the linear drainage system that you just heard about. Now that is different in that is a city obligation to finance. There's not a developer obligation to finance the master infrastructure project. That's on us. So the agreement has obligations for the city, obligations for the developer. This is one that is an obligation for the city. Back in June, when the agreement was approved, the city approved the concept of issuing bonds, but under Florida law, under your charter, it's a multi-step process. So in order to kind of effectuate that commitment, this item here is for you to approve the form of the bonds to keep the bonds funding moving forward as required by the agreement. Okay, and Ms. Sybil already, I think, explained better than I would the purpose of the master infrastructure project and the impact on the ultimate sale of the parcels. All right, so the CRA currently has about $3.6 million in budgeted funds to move the project forward for the master infrastructure project. So that's already been budgeted, already been allocated. That is how the city is currently meeting its current payment obligations to the developer. The proposed bond issuance would cover the rest of the city's obligations. The one thing I wanted to point out is that the obligation of the city to fund the infrastructure project isn't dependent on this particular bond issuance. So if for whatever reason the city were to choose not to issue the bonds, the obligation to pay for the infrastructure project remains the same. And agreement requires every year as part of the budgetary process, the budget will include the appropriate line items for this project. So the bond issuance is the mechanism being recommended to you, but the obligation to fund the infrastructure project is separate and apart from that. That's my summary. I will turn it back to Ms. Sybil.
Thank you, Eric. So we did want to also talk about consequences if the CRA fails to fund the infrastructure. So pad sales would be lower. You heard me talk a few minutes ago about how integral the infrastructure is to the master plan and to the economics of the project in terms of pad sales. And implementing the infrastructure add value to the pads, which means we're able to sell the pads for higher amounts. The individual developers, again, if we don't fund the infrastructure beyond the $3.6 million that we have budgeted, each individual developer, when they come to the table, they will have to implement their own infrastructure for each of the pads that they choose to develop. Again, that would reduce the value of each pad as we go to sell it in the marketplace to these developers. If we continue to not appropriate, so we run out of our $3.6 million, there's something referred to as a tolling period. So we have 10 years in which to come back to the CRA board, City Commission as part of the agreement, annually as part of the budget process, and ask again for the CRA to appropriate those bond proceeds and to approve the bonds, and we would have to keep doing that annually as part of that tolling period under the master development agreement. And the other thing I did want to point out is we talked earlier about all of the additional project elements that, we met with the community, we met with the District 4 Commissioner, and because the infrastructure is such an integral part of the funding plan and economics for the project, that is how another element of how we're able to provide and fund those different initiatives, the Vocation Tech, the College Resource Center, and all of the initiatives, which is also an item that will be under consideration for approval this evening in a master project resolution relative to incorporating those elements into the project. And both the City Commission and CRA would be required to consider that item for approval. And that completes our PowerPoint presentation, Mayor.
Very good. Excuse me. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right. All right. Now we're going to, we're going to recess this meeting, and we will now commence the special meeting as the Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, at 6 p.m., which it's after 6 p.m., which that's just fine. So we have commenced that meeting, but now we're going to go ahead and recess that meeting. I know it's a lot of steps. Recess that meeting, and let's move on to we're going to commence the special meeting as the City Commission of Pompano Beach, Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We're after that time also. And we'll move on to considerations. Item 1 is an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving the form of ground lease agreement and authorizing the execution of a ground lease agreement in connection with each series project as more fully described herein. Approving the form and authorizing the execution of a master trust agreement to provide for the issuance from time to time thereunder of one or more series of certificates of participation as more fully described herein. Approving the form of a supplemental trust agreement, supplementing the master trust agreement, and authorizing the execution of a supplemental trust agreement relating to one or more series of certificates of participation to be issued pursuant to the master trust agreement and authorized herein. Authorizing the issuance in one or more series of tax-exempt and/or taxable certificates of participation, evidencing an undivided proportionate interest of the owners thereof in the basic rent payments to be made under a master lease purchase agreement, Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, by the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, subject to the parameters set forth herein, including that the aggregate principal amount of such certificates shall not exceed $137 million, as more fully described herein. Providing for the appointment of a trustee under the master trust agreement as supplemented, approving the form and authorizing execution of a master lease purchase agreement, Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, related to the series projects, approving the form and authorizing execution of a lease schedule to be delivered in connection with each series project, approving the form of an assignment of lease agreement, approving the form of an assignment of ground lease agreement to be delivered in connection with each ground lease, authorizing delegated negotiated sale of each series of the certificates of participation, Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, specifically authorized herein, and establishing certain parameters of such sale, approving the form and authorizing the execution of a certificate purchase contract relating to each series of the certificates of participation, the Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, specifically authorized herein, subject to the parameters set forth herein, authorizing obtaining a commitment for a municipal bond insurance policy and/or reserve account, surety bond securing a series of the certificates of participation, Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, specifically authorized herein, and the execution of related agreements with the insurer, approving a form of preliminary offering statement and authorizing execution and delivery of a final offering statement and related matters relating to each series of the certificates of participation, the Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, specifically authorized herein, approving the form and authorizing execution of a continuing disclosure certificate and related matters relating to each series of the certificates of participation, Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, specifically authorized herein, authorizing all required actions in connection with the issuance of the series of certificates of participation, the Civic Facilities Master Lease Program, specifically authorized herein, providing for severability, providing an effective date. Amen.
So moved.
Very, very good. Thank you, Mr. Berman. Appreciate that. I think that may be the longest one. Ms. Sybil, are you going to adopt your presentation? Is that?
Yes, good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioner. Suzette Sybil, Assistant City Manager. I would like to incorporate the PowerPoint presentation that we just presented as part of the joint meeting, as part of the record for this agenda item.
Very good. Thank you for that. All right. This is a public meeting, public hearing. Is there any input from the public at this time? And here's what I'm going to ask, folks, because there's a lot of us here tonight. Limit your comments to 2 minutes. If one person says I'm in favor and you just want to come up and say I'm in favor too, that's okay. You don't have to take your entire 2 minutes. But can I ask people, go ahead and kind of line up so we don't have to wait for folks to come forward. So please give your name and address for the record. Limit your comments to 2 minutes. When you hear the buzzer from Curvin, please don't make me ask you to stop. Name and address, 2 minutes, let's go. Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate your patience.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Ed Phillips. I currently reside at 384 Northwest 19th Street, Pompano Beach. Mayor, before I go in, because I know I got 2 minutes.
And also speak into the microphone directly. Thank you.
I know I got 2 minutes, and I'd like to acknowledge former Mayor Dale Holdness, former State Senator Perry Thurston, former Commissioner Woody Portier, former State Representative Pat Williams, and also the current Commissioner Beverly Perkins, and myself, former City Commissioner. And the reason I say this and mention this is to give you the gravity of this event and why we are here, and to also give you the gravity of what we perceive as opportunity for our neighborhood, for our community. Mayor, I'm going to rise to be in support of the public financing, but what was mentioned to us today, just a few minutes ago, and we say this seriously with all due respect, as you bring these consultants up with all the technical information, find an African American who can do some of this stuff. It's nice to see all these folks up in here who are making money, and I think one of the commissioners mentioned a lot of money is being made here. Do not make us feel that we are asking to be at the table, and you're going to put us at the table, but we want a knife and a fork to be able to carve some up too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Mitch Ackerman, 931 Southeast 4th Avenue, Pompano here. So are you saying at the end of the time of paying for this city hall, it's going to be $268 million? All right, what would it cost to rehabilitate this city hall? Nobody did any figuring? Anybody have any answers?
Staff evaluated that.
So nobody knows.
Go ahead.
I think that's a pretty important question. All right, I hope somebody could come up with that and maybe to let everybody know in a future time before we consider this.
Thank you, sir. Just for the record, staff has looked into that. Absolutely.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Perry Thurston. I'm the former state senator for this area. But more importantly, I was born and raised in this area. And I have come to at least 3 presentations just to kind of, while I know many of you, I don't know all of you, just to get my own impression of what I think about the project and how I think it will benefit the community. I'm impressed with the project. I've seen it. I've seen what you proposed, and I heard your debate last time we were here about the contract and approving the contract. I am also an attorney, and I do public finance for the county of Bonneville. So I understand what your discussions were about. I want to see the improvements to all of the Pompano, but certainly the Northwest community where I was born and raised. I also want to say that in viewing the project over the 3 meetings that I've attended, I have an opinion about the EPAT Larkin Center. I don't really want to see a patchwork center. I think many of the people who are in our community want to see a new facility. We want to see, and I know that you've heard from a lot of people about different opinions about it, but there are a lot of ideas out there. We want to move forward. We want to see what's going on. We like the new project. We want you to consider it, and if you consider moving forward after your debate before, I know you got to make that decision, but if you go forward, we're asking that you go forward with a brand new EPAT Larkin Center, not a patchwork center. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. If I could, ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you, we got a lot of people, so please, no applause. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. My name is J. David Washington. My address is 4005 North Federal Boulevard, Federal Highway. I represent Seven Hills Development Group, Seven Hills Equity Partners, as well as U.S. Capital Advisors, as well as AMK Solutions. So we have clients that live in Pompano Beach. We are here to bring investment dollars globally to this community. We moved here 4 years ago, and we are excited about the project, and we are here to put our hat in the ring. We want a knife, a fork, a plate at the table, so the folks that we represent, we too want to be a part of this deal. So it is imperative that you move forward. Mr. Thurston, we are in full agreement with you. We believe that Martin Luther King Boulevard needs to represent excellence, and I want to go on record. Should we move forward, we expect for you to commit to build a new E. Pat Larkin Center and not forget about this community who is supporting you today. Because honestly, it will be hell to pay if you don't deliver for the Pompano Beach Northwest community. So we are here in numbers, and we are going on record. This will not be a regentrification project like Sistrunk projects and other projects across the United States of America where the people of color are not represented economically. Those are my comments, and we are holding all of you accountable. And those of you who resist progress, you will be paying for it in more ways than one.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Attorney, City Manager. I'm Dale Holness, served as the former mayor of Broward County, but also as a commissioner that represented Northwest Pompano. My ties to Pompano Beach goes way back. My good friend Ed Phillips, when we were younger folks, used to be all over this place. Registering voters for Jesse Jackson's campaign in '84, down by the club that a lot of people remember. Many don't, but we were all here. This is a very important project. It's a big deal. It can lift the community up. It should lift the community up. The people of Pompano Beach, the taxpayers, are paying for this. This investment ought to bring return back to them, especially the Northwest community, because that's where that CRA was created. They were the first investors in ensuring that this kind of project could happen today. Without that CRA, we wouldn't be talking about this, because you wouldn't have those seed investment paid for by the people of Northwest Pompano Beach to be in this place. So in order not to have gentrification where you drive the people out, and it's not that folks don't want place renewed. They want to make sure that when it's renewed, they have a seat at the table, they have a home in the place, they have a business there. And if you're not strategic in your efforts to do so, you'll lose that opportunity. And what Ed Phillips says, what Perry says, and Perry can be a part of this deal because he's a bond lawyer for Broward County right now. So when you go out to issue these bonds, there's one person that you can include from Pompano Beach. More of that must be done. It must be strategic. I know that you have some training component, but you have to have some apprenticeship program. It must be purposeful. You have set goals. You have to set goals and bring the businesses community and build them capacity to be able to be included in this.
Thank you, Commissioner, appreciate it. Next speaker. Please hold your applause and keep it to 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Hello, Todd Holt, 9151 Lake Park Circle North, Davie, Florida. I am the Vice President of Biz Development with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. That is why I'm here tonight. We want to pledge our support of this project. We think it's a great opportunity for the city. We've seen what the city has already done with the Pier project, which is, Pompano's always been a great place to live, but I'll tell you, there's a buzz now. It's a destination city. When we work projects, what comes up time and time again is housing. Where are our employees gonna live? And being able to have a development that not only a company can locate, but their employees can locate as well is a win-win. So I think this is a great opportunity, and we're in full support of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Shaka McFadden, 891 Northwest 23rd Terrace in Pompano. I am voicing my support for this project, but I am also wanting to stress the importance of small businesses, small business owners within the city of Pompano. Myself, I'm a small business owner. You're speaking on having those business to go into your buildings. I am a landscaper. I don't need a building, but I do want a seat at that table, as well as other landscape businesses here, painters, stucco, glass, drywall. Those are small businesses, and we need a seat at that table, not to go into the building, because I don't need one of your units, but I do want to plant some trees, put down grass, sod. I want to do mulch. Those are my strong points.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is James Knapp. I'm the President and CEO of the Broward Education Foundation. We are the fundraising 501c3 organization for Broward County Public Schools. Speaking in favor of support for this, Pompano is where we actually reside with our school supply center, which we give out a ton of school supplies to so many different teachers here in Broward County, and it's a hub for us. But knowing what the residents of Pompano really deserve is to be proud of the gem that is here, and with the economic impact that this can create, what that can do for education in this area is exponential. And what some of that investment really makes in terms of getting some individuals, as our friends from the Alliance were talking about, when businesses come down, they ask a lot. You know, education, what are we doing? Are we looking ahead? Are we moving forward? We would love to partner on the foundation side with the school district to assist in anything we can do in terms of workforce development as you continue to work through these projects. We're interested in this more than just it needs to happen. It needs to happen because we deserve it. As a community, we deserve this. And if you don't think we deserve this, then there's a bigger conversation to be had, because it's okay to deserve and want and understand that you deserve the best. And so we do speak in favor of this, and we really appreciate it. And we thank you for the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your work. Next speaker. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ray Brown, 2809 North Course Drive. I just wanted to say thanks to all for the plans previously presented. It looks very exciting. I also wanted to advocate for the environment, solar, wind power, EV charging. It could save the city a lot of money. Imagine if all the buildings that we had were solar powered, and in combination in partnership with FPL to make even a more resilient grid when there's faced with like a tropical storm or hurricane. I think that would be an excellent idea. A lot of money to save with solar power. And the EV charging too, because as we accelerate the advent of sustainable transport, I think we're going to have cleaner cities, clean air. I also advocate for more single-family homes, and in trying to address some of the frustration that I hear from some of the other people like Pat Larkins to try to, in more harmony, keep everyone happy. Or might not be able to address every single concern, but do what we can. Right. So I would also be in favor for at least Pat Larkins renovation. I've been to the center. Inside it looks pretty up-to-date, modern to me, but maybe they need something else. Also, I'd like to look at the home ownership costs. Let's try to lower home ownership costs. I mean, a lot of people are struggling financially, and the city, our expenses, in terms of the added expense from this project minus the revenue, or revenue minus expenses, we need to be net positive, right? So we don't get into a lot of trouble financially for the city with new debts, right? So try to pay things off. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good evening, commissioners, mayor, city officials. My name is Bennett Brooks. I live at 3210 Northeast 5th. My wife and I are in favor of this project. We live in District 1, and we love it there. I also have a small business in District 1, engineering business, and we just want to congratulate, I think, all the work that's been done so far on this project. You know, the CRA and the city have done great work. They have a great track record in this city over many years now, down at the beach, the old town, and so I think that, you know, they have a great track record doing this, and that helps Pompano Beach. It's getting recognized far and wide. We're getting a really great reputation for all the things we've done, the arts and so forth, and this project is obviously a great economic benefit for our city. You know, it's great for the residents and it's great for the businesses. I'm familiar with that neighborhood, and I think it would be a great upgrade and an opportunity to bring a lot of people to the table, as we've been talking about. So, you know, we've worked out many of the issues. Also, this is a great smart growth project, and a lot of the issues of smart growth, housing, transportation, history, are on this T-shirt, and I see a lot of them out there tonight. They're listed right there. So, you know, I think this is the right step to take now, and we should take this step. A wise person once said that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And I see that we've done the preparation. Let's get that opportunity. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good evening, commissioners. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor. My name is Danielle Flancha. I live at 820 Northeast 10th Avenue. I am in Vice Mayor Fournier's district. I wanted to come and voice my support of the project. I'm really excited about what we've seen. I do work in the industry. I work for JLL. We are a real estate and construction management company, among other things. I've done some great projects with HOK. They're an excellent firm. I'm excited to see some of the renderings and other plans that they brought forth tonight. And I just wanted to commend all of you. You've been working really hard. Some of the meetings have been more contentious than others, but I want to commend everyone for working together, the research that they're doing to look into the numbers and to cross the aisle, so to speak. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Adam Adashi, 2125 East Atlantic Boulevard. I've been a Pompano resident for about 20 years now. I've done business in Pompano for about 15 years, built projects for about 15 years in Pompano. You know, I've listened to the downtown discussions on the downtown for probably about 10 years now. And you know, I've watched multiple votes push multiple items forward for 10 years to where we are today and to the development agreement that we have now, basically. So about 10 years of yes votes and countless hours of invested time and millions of dollars invested, and now we're told today that, you know, this is the do or die moment for the, you know, for the downtown. So I'd like to make a few points. I've seen monumental changes in Pompano. I've seen hundreds of millions of dollars in investment throughout the years. It's been poured into probably most of the districts, but not District 4. So why? You know, this is an opportunity to create an economic engine not only for the city of Pompano Beach, but for this district and its residents. You know, I've heard arguments on both sides, and I get it. You know, no plan is 100% perfect. This is a long project that will take many years, and if it moves forward, there are multiple components of this project, multiple opportunities, and you'll get multiple bites at the apple. But if you kill it, you'll get zero. Forward motion creates opportunity, stagnation and backward motion does not. You know, one definition of stagnation is lack of growth. One definition of backward motion is into the past. Can you honestly say that District 4 or the city has more opportunities by voting no on progress? Moving the project forward will create opportunities It will create an economic engine that will create jobs and all kinds of benefits to the residents.
Thank you, Mr. Adachi. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. David Miller, 13th Street, Pompano Beach, Florida. Good job on everything. I would like to say that I'm a person that works in the community, self-proclaimed ambassador, looking forward to becoming ombudsman. It's a new thing I'm gonna do for myself anyway. So I worked in the community beautification projects, if you know that. Worked in the build out of a community garden, and if you're really in the trenches, you might have ran into me in the past, painting at the Westview Community Cemetery. So this will become a community, the downtown, what we call in downtown, not Old Town. I like the renderings. For some reason, I picture myself coming over this hill in Fort Lauderdale, where they have a parking garage with these shades, as they call it, design. You guys, we have a city hall with us, parking garage, okay? I like the design, and for some reason I feel like we should tell the developers to look into some Japanese design and development. Japanese, baby. We might not get a tsunami, but I do know we got all these water channels. We might deal with some kind of flooding, who knows? But yeah, look into Japanese architecture. And oh, if a question was asked, because see, it gave me, my antenna went up when there was like public financing. Public financing? I thought we just had a go bond. So public financing made me feel like, oh, y'all trying to tax me again, like it's already won. So if I had a choice and y'all gave an option, I would be with the private sector kind of paying for the downtown in a sense, or however it works. I can't tell you how it works, but yeah, that rails antenna, public financing, in parentheses, quotes, city. I didn't understand that, so I don't want it because I don't understand it.
Very good. Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Aisha Williams, 1520 Northwest 7th Terrace. I am here to hope that you guys vote yes for everything that's on the board tonight. I'm but a fourth generation of Pompano residents. I have my grandmother in the back there, my mom and my aunt, and you know, we deserve something great in the Northwest section. I've been here, not much has changed since I was born in 1977, and except for some of our businesses has been torn down, you know, or whatever happened with that. But we deserve something better. And I want to add, not only should we have a bank, maybe we should have a black bank. Not only any grocery store, a black-owned grocery store. And, you know, I just look forward to see what's going on. And again, I hope you all push everything through.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Wayne Vereen, 2420 Northwest 7th Street, Pompano Beach, Florida. While I stand, I give honor to God, who's ahead of my life. I give honor to this diocese, all the commissioners that's here today. I just want to say, first of all, I am for development. I would like to see Pompano grow. I would like to see us change for the better. But as I stand, I just want to say to each one of these commissioners that's on this stand, you do represent your district. Beverly has been working hard. She's been doing a wonderful job in District 4. I want to say that, first of all. And there's my commissioner, Darlene Smith. She's been doing a wonderful job as well. Allison, everyone, Fiska, you all. But you all do represent your district. And as we get ready to get to the point where we vote, I want y'all to think about whether we go with A, whether we go with B, but make the right choice that's going to benefit this community. We want the best. I always said we need places for the homeless. That's my opinion. We need affordable housing in our district. We need a place where we can take our families to sit down and eat at a nice restaurant. We need a wonderful grocery store. Always listen to what the people ask of you in your district. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Libra Branch. Address is 2737 Northeast 1st Street. So I am for the progress and the beautification of Pompano Beach. I'm very excited about it. As a local business owner, I own a mortgage company, and understanding that Pompano Beach offers $50,000 in down payment assistance, I think that's fantastic. That's something that I push and really try to bring people into the city. It would be really nice to see maybe that amount increased to help with more affordable housing to match like Broward County as a whole, some of the other cities that are up to about 80,000, Fort Lauderdale at 75,000. I think that could really make a difference in helping people be able to qualify for homes here. So, thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. Next speaker.
How you doing, Mayor Rex?
Good.
Commissioner Perkins? Remember me? Yes. Okay, good. You don't remember me, Mayor Rex?
Just name and address for the record.
I'm going to give you my name. Do you remember me, though?
Yeah.
All right. Gonzalez Joseph, 1521 Northwest 7th Way, Pompano Beach. I want to say it's a good thing what's happening in Pompano, especially on the east side, how everything is brand new and shiny. We would like to see everything brand new and shiny down here too, in District 4. I'm not going to be like the Reverend and say you guys have been doing a good job. You guys have been doing a good job, but not enough of a good job, because it's not okay to clean one side of the house and leave another side of the house unclean. On the east side, it looks good, especially Commissioner Perkins. A couple of years back, you asked me and a couple of friends of mine to do some things for you, and we did it. On behalf of this district, it's time to pay back. It's time for you to do what you're supposed to do for your people. And I'm putting you on call. And for the same reason I had put Mayor Rex Hardin, who was a commissioner back then, and the mayor back then on call. I'm putting you on call. It's time to deliver. You guys need to vote for this project and make sure we have a new EPAT lock-in center. Thank you. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause. Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, CRA. Andrea McGee, 133 North Pompano Beach Boulevard, former Vice Mayor and District 1 City Commissioner. I have to say, this is the first time I've seen these renderings, and I just wanted to take a minute to thank city staff and ROCA and CRA and everyone who has worked so hard to bring it from Innovation District to what was just on the screens. I'm blown away and excited for the new heart of our city, and hoping that everything moves forward to make it just a one big, beautiful, amazing place. So thank you very much. Have a great one.
Very good. Thank you. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you. Go ahead. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Manager, and CRA Attorney. Stephon Williams, 2617 Northwest 9th Lane, Wilton Manors. I'm in favor of the development project, public financing, because of the savings, $100 million allocated to other projects, but not ruling out private sector funding, though. But I am in favor of the public sector financing because of the savings aspect. I'm representing TD Building Solutions. I am Executive Acquisitions Director, which means I'm basically in charge of sales. I like the idea. I accept the idea. I know that Pompano Beach will be better for it. And I am here in support of the mom and pops, the small stores, not just African American, Latino American, as well as Caucasian American, that could come together and build Pompano Beach together, not just in separation. I know that it's necessary to create a better Pompano Beach, so I yield my time with those statements. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Patricia Correa, 8 Briney Avenue. And there is like a no-brainer what you guys have to do today. You just got to vote on spending. You got to vote on money, but it is the taxpayers' money. And according to the annual report for the CRA, 75% of all of Pompano Beach's money goes to this 19% of the downtown project. That's 19% of Pompano Beach. So like a lot of people have said, I've been here for a couple of meetings, all the meetings on the downtown. None of the PowerPoints have changed. So all the people, what they said, their input on what they would like to see, like room for the homeless and the aged, and then now everybody's saying, okay, well, I want a part of this. That's all good, but it's still for the whole of Pompano Beach. And I don't believe that everybody has been in Pompano Beach. I think, Allison Fournier, last meeting, you pointed out that this downtown, this whole development thing, this CRA, is being paid for by the people, the taxpayers. And there's a lot of money going out. I don't think that much money should be going out. That's me. I don't know everything that you guys know. But the CRA, I think we should do something about that. They're getting a lot of the taxpayers' money, and I don't believe that they should get that much of the money, and I believe we need to do something different. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Corey Thompson, 2160 Northwest 4th Street, Pompano Beach, Florida, 33069. Good afternoon. Whenever you're got family members coming in, you can take them to Fort Lauderdale, you can take them to Hollywood, South Beach, anywhere. But it's one place with one side of the town you can't take them to show them nothing. That's the side of town where I grew up at, where my grandma grew up at, where my grandfather grew up at, and where his father grew up at. We have a pivotal moment right now to change that. The future is here. We're gonna grab hold to it or it's gonna pass us by. We don't need a 3-3 vote. We need a whole consensus of people coming together tonight so taxpayers will know that their time wasn't wasted. So I'm looking forward to people that we put in office to do us right. You know, when I was a kid one time, I went and got a lottery ticket, but I picked the wrong scratch off, but it was a winner. So I told my grandfather, I say, well, I picked the wrong one. He said, you picked the right one, it was a winner. I believe all of you are winners up here. We're gonna see tonight.
Very good, thank you, sir. Next speaker.
How you guys doing? My name is Emmanuel Desian, 300 Southeast 11th Ave. I go by Mike Check Winwood. It's my global television show that I started out of nowhere. It's based in Winwood, but the company is here in Pompano. It hosts 32 artists from around the world. It's not a rap battle, single versus single, and they're being judged on 5 different categories from 1 through 10. My whole goal with this television show is to bring awareness to the community about all the things that's going on as far as the artistry, the businesses that need help, and how I implement my model is through subscription base. So just like Netflix, just like Hulu, just like all of these other companies, I implement it just by myself. So I have a team of people that help me with this, build the company out. It's been growing really fast. Eventually, I want to do it right here in Pompano. Just need a really nice location to do it at. I'm all for the downtown area. The new project is, I see it. I see the project. It's growing. And one thing I want to say to you guys, thank you for Pompano Beach, what you did down there. Thank you for creating a new look where we can go hang out at, where we could go, you know, have family cookouts and all of that good stuff. I really appreciate you guys doing that. And like I said, thank you again, and I hope to see you guys in person, like to talk to you one-on-one and let you know a little bit more about me and myself. I'm from here, and I want to see you guys more, all right?
Very good. Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Gotta lower this all the way down. Hi, my name is Laura Saravia, and I'm actually a brand new resident I come from New York. I know, shocking. But one thing that I will tell you is that I have lived in Brooklyn and I have lived in Yonkers. So I have seen when development's done well to bring the people up and when it's basically pushes everybody out. So I think it's really important to also be innovative. So how can we be innovative about transforming what's already here? I think we should be innovative in the housing. We should look into other models like co-living. We should look into food co-ops and anything that the people themselves can generate and help themselves. So being more innovative in those concepts is really critical, I think, right now, especially with the economy. So, Pompano.
All right, thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. My name is Gisha Augustine of GG the Planner. I live at 4500 Southwest 28th Street, West Park. I'm here representing Jay Parinci, the largest landowner in Pompano Beach near I-95. One of his addresses is 200 Northwest 10th Avenue, and I'm here today to read a statement on his behalf. Jay Parinci, the largest private landowner in Pompano Beach downtown district, located on the southwest corner of Atlantic Boulevard between 9th and 10th Avenue next to I-95, is proposing that Pompano Beach create a temporary futuristic style smart city downtown development for the whole district. It's time we place these empty, undeveloped lots in most of the district onto tax rolls by increasing zoning and density to create a vibrant downtown that will offer housing, jobs, commercial enterprises for startups, entertainment, and tourism while providing a source of income for more development in the community and the rest of Pompano Beach. This district is the only place left to develop in South Florida and maybe the best place left to develop in the whole country. When taken into consideration its huge size, its location between the busiest and longest highways in the country, I-95 and US 1, and its great climate. This is an opportunity for Pompano Beach to have its own downtown while creating a unique architectural development that will not only attract all people, compete with other well-known attractions in South Florida, but place Pompano Beach on the world map. A great place where people will be proud to live, work, and play. Once the zoning and density is increased, which is next boost in green lifestyles to counteract the housing crisis, according to urban planners, Pompano Beach will be a place for many newcomers. One concept I am proposing is called the Four Corners, One Center Canvas Wings, which represents increase in national identity as well as a harmony for everyone to recognize. It defines and shows off the district with 4 tall buildings on its corners and 1 tallest building in the center where the buildings between will be lower levels. Thank you.
Very good, thank you for that, appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good evening. Giving honor to God and each and every one of you in your respective places. I thank God for being here. I thank God for the audience. And mine, does the audience look different?
Ma'am?
And I'm grateful.
Can we get your name and address?
Oh, yes. My name is Minnie Frazier. I'm a taxpayer and property owner at 841 and 851 Northwest 18th Avenue, Pompano Beach. Okay? And I have a home also in Orlando. And I also have a subdivision in Dublin, Georgia. And I also have more property in New Jersey. But I've just come here to let you know I'm very proud of you guys. I'm very proud that Pompano Beach is finally going to find its place on the map. I'm really grateful and I appreciate you all. But I'm also Black and I grew up here doing the farm in the agriculture area. I was here when we had the nation's largest produce market here in 1960. I was one of those little girls dressed in those farm clothes, and I was out there doing my business, trying to live here. I was here when the streets was all dirt. I was here when Margate and a whole lot of other places didn't even cease to exist. And I thank God because finally, I've been to different counties around here where programs came in, infrastructure, building and everything, and I just smiled because it all looked like Las Olas at a point, Las Olas Boulevard. And I just thank God for you and the decisions you're making and the decisions you're bringing over. But the main objective, no more yesterday closed. Just give us what this AI and everything in the nation want.
Very good.
And bring it to Pompano.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Colleen Duncan. Everybody know me as Miss Smoke. I live at 1851 Northwest 15th Street. I hear everybody talking about the new downtown. The new downtown is Pat Lockett's. We don't want that toe down. You can rebuild it. The young lady said save $9 million. So put that $9 million in Pat Lockett and build it up for the homeless and everything. Because I want to get money because I go around feeding the homeless. Because the homeless is very serious. So the new downtown, do not tear down Pat Lockett. Rebuild it, remortgage it. Like the city. You ain't got to tear down. If the city need a roof, get a roof. Just build it up. You don't have to tear it down. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ira Jackson, 345 Northwest 20th Avenue, Pompano Beach. And I just want to say, you know, I'm a business owner. I have benefited from numerous projects here in Pompano. I have a home in Old Collier City through the gentrification project, and I'm very excited about, you know, what's going on with the new development. I also just opened a new business, and I want a piece of the pie. You know, I want to, you know, be a part of this development and what's going on in the community. When I went to Ely High School from 1989 to 1993, before we called it Martin Luther King Jr., it was called Hammondville, and you would see anything but a dentist's office and palm trees, you know, but that's what you see now. And I myself am the epitome of progress, you know. I have benefited from these type of opportunities and getting my first home, you know, and I appreciate Pompano for that. And how Pompano looks now, it did not look that way when I was in high school from 1989 to 1993. And I feel like we need to sign off on this. The Northwest section, we need this for ourselves. We need this for our small businesses. We need this for our community. We need this for our children. You know, we want to participate in this economic wealth, okay? We want to be a part of tomorrow, okay? And I just want to thank you guys for everything you're doing. I hope you do the right thing. I hope you sign yes and give us this opportunity, and, you know, thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next speaker. Anybody else wants to speak, please line up in the aisles.
Hi, I'm Mary Phillips. My address is 384 Northwest 19th Street, Pompano Beach, Florida. Basically what I want to say is I think it would be a great idea to build a brand new Larkin Center. And like I said before, I think it should be the Larkin Phillips Center. But this is the thing I want to say, that there's a lot of uses that can be in that particular facility. If any of you have ever been to the African American Resource Library, that's a great example of how this building can be built. They actually have a almost theater-like setting on one side. They have a historical area where you can actually put information about the pioneers that were here in Pompano Beach and the families. And I believe the Tiger Trail Festival is putting together some information where they're actually videoing some of the people who lived here long ago to tell us about what the history of Pompano Beach was. We can actually put that on a panel, and you can push a button, and you can actually see and hear it. And that's the kind of thing I would like to see. We can put the training program in that same building. We can have that building for any activities that we want to have, and then reserve the rest of that property that's available for commercial use, because we need a lot of commercial use. That's how we're going to make our monies back. Okay, I think that we need to, though, actually have area for small businesses to operate in. We have lots of small businesses that are operating in their homes. Some of them have come to my office to ask if they can have space in my office to operate their businesses. And I would really like to see minority-owned businesses being placed on that boulevard. So if they can carve out a building or some portion of the building for our small minority-owned businesses, that would be beneficial in spurring economic development.
Very good, thank you. Next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause.
Nicholas Hillery, 240 Service First Terrace. I don't think that the Pompano Beach needs a new government building for $9 million a year for 30 years. I think that's ridiculous. That's the only thing I have to say.
Very good, thank you, sir. Next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. My name is Don McNeil, 2720 Northeast 6th Street in Pompano. District 1, we've seen the benefits of a well-run CRA in the east, and I think this project shows that if well-run can do similar to the northwestern districts. As far as financing, Pompano has the benefit of a AAA rating, which is really desirable. To me, it's obvious in the cost savings that the public funding would be the best route for this type of project. Finally, it's going to be incumbent upon you, the Commission, the CRA, as stewards of this project to prevent gentrification, help spur businesses, grocery stores, as has been said, as well as restaurants or any small businesses. These can be accomplished, but it's going to be a long, not easy haul for all of you as project managers on this thing, as well as the CRA. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. Shauna Benson, 1540 Northeast 40th Court in Oakland Park. I may not be a resident currently, but I've been involved in this city for the better part of 15 years in one capacity or another. And I've been to many of these meetings over the course of those 15 years. And a lot of times your jobs as commissioner sitting on the dais is to weed through what the public really wants. People are coming up here, they have all different needs and desires, but I think we can say overwhelmingly today, everyone here is unified in wanting to move forward with this project. And I hope that all of the members on the dais will stay as unified as the audience is.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next speaker.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Lassane, 2051 Northwest 1st Avenue, Pompano Beach. Oh, I'm scared. So, in 2016, I came back home to Pompano after college and started a nonprofit centered around entrepreneurship because I knew that gentrification eventually would come to Pompano because I saw it happening in Tallahassee and other places. And then now, almost 10 years later, I'm realizing that it's not just the young people who won't be able to afford to live in Pompano. There are also people who own homes now, people who work for the city of Pompano, people working multiple jobs to afford to live in Pompano. So my feelings kind of changed as far as wanting to support the project and not knowing if I should support the project. But today I'm here to say that I'm not in support of the project because it's just reading the minutes from the meetings and paying attention to everything that's going on. It seems that every time somebody from the Northwest District or in general, when people are given reasons why they as taxpayers and voters don't like the project, it doesn't seem like anything changes. It's just like, oh, well, we don't care about what they think. We're still going to do it. So, yeah, that's what I want to say.
Very good. Thank you for that. Next speaker. Please, ladies and gentlemen, no applause.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Pull that down. Thank you.
My name is Octavia Glover, 400 North Flagler Avenue, Pompano Beach, Florida, apartment 210. I'm here to go on with the project for downtown Pompano, because when I came here, it was dirt roads, rocky roads and stuff. I came back in the 70s, and for my kids, I'm a mom of 3 kids, 5 grand and 1 great grand. So I would like for the rebuild so they can see this is their future, because we done lived ours, so let them have an opportunity to do theirs.
Very good. Thank you for that. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Alex Boardman. I live at 2600 Northeast 19th Street. I'm imploring the commission to support the public financing option of this project, and I would hope that 2 points would be taken into consideration. One, that this could be an opportunity to make this downtown a way to get around for folks other than the car, because many folks are transportation burden. It is a large part of a family's budget, having to pay for cars. So there should be protected bicycle infrastructure, good walking infrastructure, and ways for folks to get around in a way other than a car. Also, with the advent of the coastal link coming to I haven't heard that mentioned much at all, but when that comes in 5 or 10 years, that's going to be a major economic driver to this area, and it's going to make it a much more desirable area to live. And my final point is that in terms of the success of a downtown and all the things that I've read, density is destiny. So I hope you all take that, and I hope you'll approve of all the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Tracy Boyd. I reside at 740 Northwest 17th Street in Pompano Beach. Obviously, that's District 4. I apologize. I arrived late, not only to the meeting, but to the entire discussion. I just found out literally like a week ago that there was a downtown opportunity happening. But in that week, I have spoken to several different people, including the mayor. I met him at the Ely Museum historical thing they had last week. I spoke with the mayor. I spoke with Commissioner Perkins. I spoke with former Commissioner Woody Portier. I spoke with some community leaders, Ms. Ernestine Price. I spoke with Mr. Ed Phillips. Several people. I was just trying to gather information, being that it's my own fault that I wasn't aware of it. But pretty much everyone gave me a different answer to the question. So basically, all I'm here to say is more of a question than an answer, is what I would like to have clarified if it's possible. I know that the mayor assured me that if it is approved, the old EPAT Larkins building would not be torn down before a new one was erected. He did tell me that. He said that was pretty much that. So I just want to kind of clarify that that would happen, and also question what areas are you looking at in erecting the new building? Is it still going to be in the same general area, if you know, or will it be further out from the quote-unquote downtown area? So I don't know if you guys have already discussed it, because as I said, I arrived late and I apologize. But if someone could readdress it again, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Very good. Just real quickly on that, rebuilding the EPAT Larkins is being pulled out currently, so it's not going to be rebuilt, it's going to be refurbished where it is. Just to answer that question.
It's going to be refurbished.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. Thank you for answering that question. I appreciate it.
Next speaker. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. I'm Jackie Moreland, 1526 Northwest 7th Lane. The first thing I want to say, I'm for whatever's going to be for the betterment of my community. Am I for this project? No. And the reason I say no, from the onset of this project, we were not included. So if you wanted us to be a part of something that was going to sit in our neighborhood, from the onset, from the beginning of the development, these people in this audience that look like me could have been included, and we weren't. So you brought us something that you thought would be good enough for us without our opinion. So now you want us to vote on what you've created for us, and not us having the opportunity to say what we wanted for our community. It's going to sit in the Northwest community. in our community, on top of us, where we live every day, where you might come through or you can have the opportunity to go around. And I've come to meetings after meetings, and it's so good to see so many people here. But there are times that it's 5 or 6 of us in commission meeting, and I watch some of you vote down everything that Commissioner Perkins brings before this board, before this commission that concerns the Northwest community. You voted down, and you, well, not you, you're new. So I've watched. I've watched. It took me almost a year just to get you to decide that you were going to change the pictures in the lobby that represented Pompano that were full of white citizens and not blacks. And finally, when I wrote to the newspaper, you changed it. And I asked you, Mayor, I emailed you, I talked to you, I'm always respectful, and it never got changed. So I'm supposed to believe that you really have our best interests at heart. I want to see our community be the best and have us come up to date with everything that we need. Do I trust the project? No, because I don't trust how it was brought to us.
Very good. Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, please, ladies, no applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Tundra Moreland, 124 Northwest 15th Street, Pompano Beach. I'd like to piggyback on some of the things my sister mentioned. I've heard, I think it was Mr. DiGiorno say that this project has been in motion for about 10 years. So for 10 years, you let our community lapse in so many areas. You let us lapse with crime. We continue to complain about the crime. We continue to complain that we don't have a substation somewhere where we're supposed to be safe, but we can't even get a basic substation. We've begged for that for many years. For 10 years, we've complained about the unhoused, finding some place for them, providing some place for them so that they can get the treatment or whatever they need. For 10 years, we've complained about those things. For 10 years, we've complained about a lot of our schools still in deplorable conditions. Markham kids still don't have a cafeteria. For 10 years, we've come here and said we need more things for our seniors. For 10 years, a lot of our buildings in our community are dilapidated, and we just pass by. So now I'm supposed to jump up and be excited because you all feel it's time. It's been time. It was time 10 years ago. So I'm not against redevelopment in our community. I'm not against new opportunities, but what I am against is letting it fall down on top of us, and then you seem like the savior because you decide now is the time. It was time long time ago. So I really think we need to take a close look, in the same energy that we have now is the energy we should have had 10 years ago. We shouldn't have been having to live in the conditions that we were living in 10 years ago. So I can't say that I'm against the project or I'm for it. I don't know. I'm just torn because I know what it's looked like for these last 10 years. I have parents that can barely even afford their kids' school uniforms, but yet we have all this money. So please take a close look at this project. And yes, I hope it's for the betterment of our community, but I have some apprehensions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you. Next speaker. Any further speakers?
Good evening.
Please line up at the side. Line up in the aisle, please. Any further speakers?
Good evening.
Pretty good. We got 2 more speakers.
Penny Mitchell, 590 Northwest 18th Avenue. I'm in agreement with the new plan that we have, looking forward to the future. I think it's important that we do move forward. My main thing was Pat Larkins. I was very pleased to hear what you said, Mayor, in regards to the renovations. I was curious, if we could renovate it, why can't we not have a new Pat Larkins? That would be my first question. My second question is, I would like to get assurance from the commissioners here that Martin Luther King Boulevard, the name, will never change. I would like that known from every commissioner here. It was something that was said that the name was going to change after the reconstruction of the new downtown. Was that not true?
I've never heard that.
No,
to be honest.
no, the name is not going to change, no.
Okay,
very well. So the Pat Larkins, if you could just speak on that really quickly, I'd appreciate that.
Like I said, the Pat Larkins building, it's been pulled out. We're not reconstructing at this point in time. It's been pulled out. We're just going to rehab it where it's at.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Michael Skaversky, 1630 Southwest 5th Avenue.
Can you pull that microphone a little closer?
Can you hear me now?
That's better, yeah. There's some problem with the mic.
1630 Southwest 5th Avenue. The good news is the Florida Panthers are winning 1-0 at the end of the first period. The bad news is we ought to just name this project A CRA slush fund, just like the McNabb House. That's all this is. It's a gigantic slush fund for this group, okay? We had Mitch Ackerman get up and talk earlier. He wanted to know what it would cost to just make sure this building was fixed up so it would be fine. Let's hear the answer on that, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with this building. In fact, we even replaced the clock recently. There's nothing wrong with this building whatsoever. The majority of these people that are getting up for it are either profiting off of it. You people don't think this is gentrification? They're all white people that got up and talked about this project. Are you that foolish? Holy smokes! Are you that foolish? It's all white. The majority of the people that are getting up here for it, they want a job. That's all they want. They want a job. That's what they're looking for. They don't realize the repercussions. You can't even get Dixie Highway Atlantic Boulevard project proper. Going east to west is virtually impossible. You sit in traffic for 10, 15, 20 minutes, even in the afternoon. Yet you want to tear this area apart? You want to know what you need to do? We need more police presence there. That's what we need. Clean the area up. We need this building, whatever you think is wrong with it, fixed up. And that's all we need. We don't need to tear this whole area apart. Like I said, the vast majority of the people getting up here are all profiting off of this, or they want to profit off of it. That's amazing. This is the biggest gentrification project in South Florida history. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Thank you, sir. Next. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Next speaker. Next speaker.
I just have a question, and I would like for the commission to answer this.
Sir, you've already spoken, I believe.
Yeah.
We've got other people who want to speak.
I understand, but there's a question that people are saying.
Sir,
it was $9 million. You're $9 million, right? You're saying that there is $9 million.
Sir, you already spoke. You're out of order.
Could you please explain why the E. Larkin Center is not being
Sir, I'm asking you to leave the podium.
Okay.
You're out of order, sir.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
second time. Thank you. Next speaker. Sir, do you want to speak? Okay. Can you go ahead and just stand up so we know you want to speak? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, to all of the commissioners and everyone. My name is Sheila Foster. I reside 2856 Northwest 13th Street, Fort Lauderdale. However, I am a product of Pompano Beach, and my family is still here, and I'm here to speak this evening on behalf of the project that's coming forth. I am for the project, and I feel that it's high time that we get some new money over in our area and that things can be done to bring things up. I was here since the farm days, and I helped build Golden Acres during EPAT Larkin Rain. And I was a friend of Mayor Skolnick as well from Palmyra. So I'm here, I want to see things go good. If someone said about gentrification, we know that's coming all over the land. And black folk, I'm gonna just put it how it is, black folk have given up, and we've suffered through blight long enough. Money's coming to the state, we don't get the money. The money's going somewhere else, and I heard someone say that was too much money. To tell you the truth, it's not enough money. What happened to all our tax money? What happened to us as a people? We was here when Pompano was nothing. We the one that stood by while Pompano got all the money and put it somewhere else. It didn't come into District 4. So, you know, don't cry now because somebody want to give us a blessing. Because whether you know it or not, it's going to go forth. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Next speaker on this side.
Whew. Good evening, Commissioners. Dodie Keith, 301 East Atlantic Boulevard. Many folks know I own a business here in Pompano, second generation. We've been here for many, many years. I'm also a resident of Pompano Beach. I'm standing here tonight as a resident of this city. And I have family, staff, the amount of people that live in this city that are attached to me. In every one of your districts, I have somebody that's personal, that either works for me or is related to me, that lives there. So you represent, what I want to remind everybody in this room here tonight, we're here for some really specific things that are really important. The decisions you make tonight decide whether we default on an agreement or we don't. And I'm going to say to you, whether you like the agreement, whether you were here when it was voted a year ago or 2 years ago or 10 years ago, it's really irrelevant tonight. Tonight, and Commissioner Fessick said it at your last joint meeting, some things were done before she got here that are tying her hands tonight, because default hurts Pompano worse than anything else you do tonight. And I'm going to tell you, default takes the legs out of every person that lives in this city. So it doesn't matter what district you represent, it doesn't matter who you represent. But I am going to say something, and I'm saying this with due respect, because I want to shame you all. And I love you all, but I want to shame you all. Because I'm going to say, if you look to your left and your right and your colleagues that sit up here, what we've become as a commission is a shame. Every one of you has been voted in by thousands of people in this city, thousands. So if you don't like the person next to you, think about that thousands of your residents voted for that person. Not hundreds, thousands. So some of us win by a little, some of us win by a lot. You all are sitting there because thousands of people have voted you here. Oh my God, I'm out of time. But I'm going to tell you, be respectful to the person next to you, because that person had thousands of people. Consider their point of view. Stop tonight. Find your way to a compromise. Every one of you, even the ones voting yes.
Thank you.
Compromise. You've got to get there.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause. Thank you. Next speaker.
Hard to be Doty. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor, and City Manager, Mr. Harrison. My name is Dominic Lewis, 400 Northeast 2nd Street, Pompano. First, I would like to start with a 10-second moment of silence for people that are misinformed tonight and that have been misled. There's a word by Spike Lee. The word is bamboozled. It's a verb. It means to be deceived, underhanded by methods, duped, hoodwinked. I got bamboozled by the salesperson to buy the expensive EV vehicle, to confuse, to frustrate, to throw off thoroughly or completely confused. I'm here tonight just to speak about the capacity, not as a CEO and founder of a software development company operating here in Pompano Beach, but just as a private citizen. And I've been hearing a lot of words from home. I have a newborn, and I love this city. But my God, how many times have I heard someone come up here and say, hope? Well, I hope. Hope is not a plan. We can't hope that this is going to get right. You're hoping that you're part of the team? You're not. You got the T-shirt.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause. Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Cindy Corbett Elder. I live at 2361 Northeast 15th Terrace in Pompano Beach. I've been a resident of Pompano Beach prior to its incorporation for 37 years. I just want to remind you that your jobs as commissioners are you are trustees of our public funds. I saw the pretty pictures, I saw whatever. The developers are coming. They're coming. They're coming no matter what. Look at downtown Fort Lauderdale. You're going to have the commuter rail coming through here. That is going to spur the development. So maybe you don't need to throw all these additional public funds into it. That's all. And, you know, Like I said, I didn't get the T-shirt. I went to the meeting. I got offered a T-shirt if I wanted to show up and get one. But I'm kind of like with the last guy, is it's not worth a T-shirt, because when this comes, love you people. I know your area needs help. It's needed help. They're going to be pushing you out.
Very good. Thank you. Next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us. Good evening.
Good night. My name is Natasha Grant. My address is 1931 Northeast First Terrace, Pompano Beach, 33060. I am a homeowner, been one for 15 years, and I'm from District 4. And my question is to my commissioner, Ms. Perkins. Please inform me, when I heard the mayor say that the EPAT Larkin Center will be refurbished? Or
rehab.
I would like to know, why are we not having a new community center when all the other districts have a community center that looks way better than ours? It's way behind time. Please answer that question for me.
All right, when you're done,
I'm finished.
I'm going to speak to you, and I will answer your question.
Why can't you put it on the record? I would like it on the record.
Ma'am, honestly, this is not a question and answer type. I mean, I'm throwing some stuff out there real quick, but if we got into question and answers for everybody, we'd be here all night.
My commissioner doesn't have an obligation to me?
I am going to answer your question, but not now.
Very good.
I'm going to answer it before you leave.
Okay, and to the other speaker who came up and said that there are thousands of individuals that voted for each one of you that's sitting up here, and that you guys should be more human or respectable to your individual sitting to your left and your right. She is right. I've been to commission meetings, and I've seen where other commissioners do vote down or are rude to their fellow commissioners. So she is right. And you guys do need to keep in mind that we are the ones that voted for you to be sitting up there, the residents of this city. And our questions need to be answered. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Next, any further input from the public? Very good. Public input closed. Thank you. That's it. I
have a question.
No applause. Thank you. Commission discussion.
I have a question about the order of the agenda and what happened here. So quickly, you opened the CRA meeting and then unilaterally recessed that closed and changed the order in which we are voting on things and the order of the agenda and the order from which it was publicly noticed. So the public notice said that the first meeting was the special joint meeting, the second meeting was the special CRA meeting at 6 o'clock, and the special city commission meeting was at 6:30 p.m. or as soon after the special CRA meeting as practicable. So why did you unilaterally close that meeting and change the order of the agenda on us?
I thought it flowed better.
You thought it flowed better?
Yes.
So you thought it was just acceptable to change the order? You wanted, let's talk about what Dodie said with respect and doing things the right way and setting the tone. So the tone of the meeting started by you unilaterally changing the order in which we are voting on things and changing the order of the meeting from what was publicly noticed without consulting any of us or even letting us know that, because you thought it would flow better. I mean, I have a lot of comments on what happened here, but my first comment, I guess, is that we should, or I'd make a motion that we recess this meeting and do the agenda in the order that it was publicly noticed and that everyone is looking at in this room.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause.
Is that a motion? Yeah, that's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. Would you repeat?
My motion is to recess the meeting, the special city commission meeting that you unilaterally opened, and go back to the order that was publicly noticed, which would mean we're reopen the special CRI meeting and vote on things in the order that everyone is looking at in the audience of the agenda that was provided and how it was publicly noticed.
Second.
Mr. Berman?
The meeting is being conducted in the order
that notice was published. The meeting was convened, then recessed at the appropriate and notice time. The next meeting, the city commission meeting, was convened at the appropriate time. And when this item is finished, this matter will be recessed, and the CRA meeting will be reconvened, complete, at which time the city commission will complete. So everything's being called in order as it was noticed, as the notice is followed. It's just being recessed. And
So it is not.
Just one moment.
I have the floor?
One moment,
Okay.
Vice Mayor. Let Mr. Berman finish.
So, the reasons for that, if you want to know, that it was determined by staff, by everyone working on this matter, that this was a more expedient and sensible order to proceed. It makes no sense to consider all of the additional items if we first haven't approved the funding to pay for those additional items. That's why we're moving those items first, so we can deal with that to make sure the funding is there to meet the promises and obligations that are made later on in the agenda. But the
Perhaps
order
staff
that
should have thought of that when they created the agenda then, and when they publicly noticed it.
Vice Mayor, I'm going to ask you once more. Let Mr. Berman finish what he's saying. Ms. Berman?
It was created. There are statutory requirements for notice, for bonding, and those things were followed. Subsequently, it was determined that there'd be a more sensible way to proceed, and that's why this is proceeding in that manner. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. So, as I said, if we want to set the tone here for this meeting and we want to be respectful, I don't view it as very respectful that you with staff and the mayor convened a little sidebar before the meeting and decided to reorder the meeting different than the agenda and different than what was publicly noticed without letting any of us know. So this says 6:30 p.m. or soon after the special CRA meeting is when we're supposed to be having the meeting we're in right now. And that is not what we're doing. So I guess you can play games and open and recess meetings all night if you want, but that is not how it was publicly noticed and is not what we were told. And I don't believe that someone unilaterally deciding to do that with you before the meeting sets a good tone for this meeting.
Very good. For the commission? Mr. Berman, there was a motion made to recess this meeting. Is that appropriate?
It's appropriate if there's a second and an affirmative vote to do so, yes.
Okay, because there was a second. So the Vice Mayor made a motion to recess this meeting and go back to, I guess, the first printed item in our agenda, I guess. And it was seconded by Commissioner Fessick. Yeah. So, any discussion on the motion, Commissioner Smith?
I understand the confusion, but I also understand the reason. If we don't move forward with this motion, do we even have a purpose for the other motions? So that makes sense. We should have probably realized that when we published, but I understand your reason to change the order.
Very good. Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you. So I actually view all three of these items as inextricably linked. So the first one issues a bond that will improve pads that we will then sell and use those sale proceeds to pay for the item that we're considering now, which is either the public or the private debt that we are obligated to issue to build a new city hall. And item two is the details of the city hall. So they are all inextricably linked, and I don't necessarily, and in this item in particular, actually, I think is less important because according to the city and the attorneys, if we don't vote for this item, Suzette is going to sign a contract to lease with Roca Point, and they're just going to issue the financing anyway. So this item is almost the least important.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call a roll on the motion.
Commissioner Fezzik,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sigerson Eaton,
No.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fournier,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
No. Very good. Then Mr. Berman, how do I handle this? We're on an item already. Just recess. Okay.
Recess and reconvene.
Very good. We'll recess this meeting. So.
No, we don't need no break. No, absolutely not.
Well, wait a second. Yeah, it's been 2.5. Yeah. Since we're in recess, we're going to recess for 10 minutes. we can go ahead and get our seats, please. Got everybody here? All right, folks. All right, folks, I'm gonna go. Okay, this meeting is back in order. Please, everybody, take your seats. Take your conversations out in the lobby if you want to. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. End your conversations or take them out in the lobby. Very good. And if we could please close those back doors so folks who are out in the lobby don't disrupt us. Thank you very much. All right, let's go back and reconvene the, we're going to reconvene the special meeting as Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Looking at considerations, item 1 is a supplemental resolution.
Mayor, before I start the resolution, can I just let Ms. Sybil go ahead and make the PowerPoint presentation part of our record?
Before you read it?
Yes. Just, yes, so that it's in the record.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Good evening again, Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the CRA Board, Suzette Sybil, Assistant City Manager. I would like to incorporate the PowerPoint presentation made earlier at the joint meeting as part of the record for this agenda item.
Very good. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor. A supplemental resolution of the Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency supplementing Master Bond Resolution number 2022-20 adopted by the Community Redevelopment Agency on June 28, 2022 to authorize the issuance of its not exceeding 75 million tax increment revenue bonds, Northwest District area, in one or more series of tax-exempt and/or taxable bonds and as additional bonds pursuant to the Master Bond Resolution for the purpose of financing, including through reimbursement, together with other legally available funds, all or a portion of the cost of a redevelopment project relating to the Northwest District area, including certain other costs related to such additional bonds, all as more fully provided for herein. Authorizing the execution and delivery of such additional bonds, authorizing the negotiated sale of such additional bonds, and establishing certain parameters of such sale. Delegating authority to the Executive Director of the Community Redevelopment Agency in consultation with the agency's municipal advisor to select one or more underwriters for each series of such additional bonds, approving the form and authorizing execution of a bond purchase contract for each series of such additional bonds, subject to the parameters set forth herein. Approving a form of preliminary official statement and related matters for each series of additional bonds, and authorizing execution and delivery of a final official statement for each series of additional bonds. Approving the form and authorizing execution of a continuing disclosure certificate and related matters for each series of additional bonds. Providing for the appointment of the initial paying agent and registrar for each series of such additional bonds, and the execution of a related paying agent and registrar agreement. Providing for a municipal bond insurance option for each series of additional bonds, authorizing other required actions, authorizing the proper officials of the agency to do all other things deemed necessary or advisable in connection with the matters provided for herein, provided for severability, providing an effective date.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Was there a second?
Second.
Very good, thank you. Moved and seconded for discussion. Ms. Sybil has already adopted her presentation made earlier in the evening, in which case we will open it up for the public. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public wishes to speak on this item? Please come forward. Seeing none, public input closed. Very good. Commission discussion. Commissioner Perkins?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I want to remind everybody, especially those that came up to speak, to educate you a little bit more about this this project that you probably don't know. Back in the 70s and 80s, this land, 75 acres, was located in the Black community, and most of the land was taken in by eminent domain back in the day. A lot of people lost their homes and their businesses at that time. And now we're putting a $2 billion project there. So I met with a few residents from Pompano to come up with ideas of what we from the Northwest area like to see in this project. So the number one thing is that we knew for sure that most of us knew that we did not want to demolish the E. Pat Larkins building. We wanted it to remain. It will remain. But we also asked for a new building to be built, a standalone building. And in that standalone building, in those 75 acres, we have requested to put an educational component there where we have vocational culinary, because of course we're going to have businesses or restaurants there. And we asked for them to put in that building a hospitality program because we're going to have a hotel on those 75 acres. With that, in that standalone building, we also asked for a college campus branch where local residents can go into this building or get college credits for the building. Along with that, we wanted to bring some of the history back to that property. As you know, we have a lot of NFL professional players from Pompano that we wanted to be identified on a wall or somewhere on that property because of its history. Then we also came up with a pioneer monument to be put on that property to acknowledge some of the pioneers that came before us. We also asked that they put a historical business walkway. In other words, those businesses that used to exist on Rock Road, Hammondville Road, so that we can identify and still remember those places like the Loveland Theater, the Bowling Alley, and Dot's Takeout, and those places. So I didn't want those to go away because it doesn't take a whole lot of money to do that. So with that, we also came up with the plan of a commercial and residential development for contractors. We also discussed and came up with the transition for residents in case residents had to be moved to a different location because of this project. We wanted to have something in place or funds in place for those people to relocate smoothly. So with all of these things that I'm mentioning, we also talked about the incubator as well. So with all of these things and the community benefit, with mentioning all of these things, there's a lot of money being spent in this project, $2 billion, and there are a lot of people sitting over there already making money from it. So I thought it was a good idea to perhaps see what I can do for the residents of the Northwest who has been neglected for so many years. So my idea was, why don't we take some of that funding and start a trust and put it into the Northwest community? Now, I am aware that when you sell these pads on this property, some of that money will go toward CRA. So we know from the history, or our history, that we have received CRA money for over 30 years and approximately $40 million, and we have nothing to show for it. So we need money in the Northwest in our own pot so that when we need to help the homeless or help Blanche Healy, like Markham, we can do that because CRA is not going to do it. So I have to look out for the best interests of my community. And what so many of you said when you came up to speak, this project does not filter into the neighborhood where you and I live. It's just in those 75 acres. So it's not going to impact anybody outside of that. And also, this project will house rental property market rate. So that means you can't even live there. So if only you knew the things that goes on in this city behind closed doors that you don't see. And what I like to do is I like to encourage you all in the future. When someone asks you to come and speak, try to read a little bit about it and find out what's going on. Because I can tell you, my job is to look out for the residents that elected me. And I take it serious. So when this project came about, I was not at the table. I didn't know about, they were even trying to do it again, bring this project up again. I didn't know. So here I am at the back end of the project, trying to find money for my district, my people. They already have theirs, it's in the contract. So the contract came before us in June of last year. I voted against the contract, and I think Commissioner there voted against the contract. And the reason I voted against it, because we were not included in the contract. They're getting all this money. The developer, the master developer, sitting right over there, 2.4 million. RMA, $1 million. And she makes more money from the city. She makes more money from CRA. Everybody's pockets, this is money, somebody said to me earlier, don't say money grab. But that's what it is. So here I am on the back end of it, trying to struggle and fight to get money from my people in my district. That's lacking. And we're still living in slum and blight. And this sounds good, it sounds pretty. I'm sure we got to do something with the land sooner or later. But this is, there's a lot going on, and I think I need to do more to perhaps inform the people really what's going on. I just started on social media, so I'm trying to do all this stuff there to try to get the word out, really what's going on, but you need to know the truth. And for me, the reason that the group and I came up with this educated component was because I remember back in the day, Miss Ely. If it wasn't for Miss Blanche Ely, we wouldn't have Blanche Ely High School. So what she did, she brought 200 to 300 teachers in Pompano. Say, come to my city and teach. So I figured, well, if I stand on her shoulders, why don't I try to continue some more education in the community, which you all over there don't care anything about. But this project sounds good to a lot of people to make a lot of money. And I am not pleased with the way this was written. I received this today from the master developer. I guess I'm just trying to get money out of it for the Northwest. And the way this was put together, some of it I did not agree to. I didn't even say anything about a lot of this stuff in here. So the wording in this is not good. I'm not pleased with the way this was worded. I don't think that this is going to work. Accuracy is very important, but you're speeding with it. And I want money out of this project for my district.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
No,
Please, no applause. Thank you.
Let them clap. They need to.
I gotta be fair, so please, no applause.
Okay, so this has been, I would say, the most stressful time I've had as a commissioner, because this project hurts me a lot. Because I know what can be done for the Northwest, but you're not doing it. So I requested the second standalone building be at least 15,000 square feet. Because we know how you all built the 731 building on MLK. It's a box. We know how you build the Senior Activity Center. It's a box. So I asked for 15,000 square feet, and I was told we'll give you between 5 and 10. Another box. And the other thing what you need to know is they are not tearing down E. Pat Larkins now. So if you don't fight for it, it won't remain there. When it comes to our history, they will move it in a heartbeat. But
ladies and gentlemen, please.
You would take the McNabb house up out the ground on Atlantic and move it down the street to preserve your history. And you did the same for the McDougal house. But when it comes to our history, you want to tear it down. And I was told at first, well, why do you all want to tear down the E.Pat Larkin Center? I was told first, well, it's in the way of the water, the waterway. But we don't want any water anyway. Well, the real reason is it's the most valuable part, that 75 acres. So when Pat stepped over there and walked over there and said, I want my building right there, he knew exactly what he was doing. He probably didn't know it was valuable, but it is now. So even after I'm gone, I'm dead and gone or whatever, you still got to fight for that building to remain, because the way they have it written here, not now. They're not going to tear down, not now. So we have got to be educated. When I walked in and I saw all these people with the white shirts on, I knew exactly who put it together. I know her MO. That's her MO. I don't care what you walk up to this podium and say, my priority are the residents. And I want my community to win. And in this project, they're not. They're not winning in this project. So I like to make a motion that we postpone this entire meeting and reschedule it when I can sit down with staff and come up with how the Northwest can make money from this project. I just made a motion. Do I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
We can talk about it.
Mayor, I think there's already a motion on the table
Yes, there is.
Well, but
for the bond resolution.
But she made a motion to postpone this item till when are you proposing to postpone it?
At least a week or two out.
Mayor?
Date in mind? Take a look. Come up with a date.
Well, it really depends on staff, how long it would take them to put it together.
Mayor, I think we need to check with bond counsel to see how much notice we need if we postpone.
Okay, oh, okay. Bond counsel?
She said 15?
So it's 10 days for publication in Sun Sentinel and 15 mail notice to taxing authorities. CRE.
So 25 days or 15 days?
Let's go with 15.
So 15. At least 2 weeks. That's a little over 2 weeks. So make it 3 weeks.
The 26th, which is a Monday, or
I'm here in June 4th.
did you say 2 weeks or 3?
I mean, we can't, no, 15
15
days,
days.
so it's got to be over 2 weeks.
What about May 2nd? I mean, June 2nd, I'm sorry.
Well, that's the date.
It's on a Monday.
That's beyond 2 weeks and a day.
We can't do the 29th, that's Blanche Chidi's graduation.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm being told 3 weeks because Sun Sentinel has a time frame to get things to them, so I'm being motioned to
3
say
weeks.
3 weeks to be safe. If
We
you,
need-
Let's just go up with June 2nd then. That's 3 weeks, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. Okay, what? Pardon me?
It's- June 4th would be 3 weeks.
Okay, let's do June 4th, and it's on a Wednesday.
Okay, so that's your date?
June 4th, 6 o'clock meeting.
So your motion is to postpone this item until June 4th at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. That's your motion, been seconded by Commissioner Fessick. Discussion on the motion? Commissioner Fessick?
Yeah, so the reason why I seconded this is because I really appreciate the fact that everybody came out and showed up, because it is important that their voices are heard. But it's also really important that we understand the severity of what we stepped into, especially what I stepped into and Commissioner Smith stepped into, in terms of making sure we're able to get up to speed with some of this very intricate paperwork. Now, for this particular thing, in our backup, there's hundreds of pages of complex documents, and they keep sort of tweaking them. It's important for us to work together to resolve this because, like I did say, we do deserve to give the Northwest a community that they can be proud of, and to do it the right way. Before I was elected, it was already set in motion. It was already voted on. There are certain things that we have to contractually do because we're obligated to, and that was because attorneys that we paid and our attorneys put certain things in the contract that, to me, are questionable. I can't understand. I've consulted with countless attorneys. I've consulted with countless developers. I've asked anybody question in building. I've asked business owners. And the biggest thing that keeps coming back, and I keep coming back to it, I've brought it up a couple of times, is how we chose, rather than using a mediator or an arbitration process, picked the word referee, which, by the way, I also searched for. And aside from NFL, you're pretty much, in basketball, the referee thing, it was very uncommon, even in California, which is where it was used more, at some point. But it is not used traditionally in Florida. No, I'm not done, and I'm getting there. Okay. Yeah, and I'm getting there because this is important. And you know what? Everybody else had time to speak, and I would like the same. Right. Thank you. This is very important, and I feel personally, after going through a lot of this, that I still have a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I would like them done in a public forum. I am exceptionally disappointed. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll continue to say it 1,000 times. In the time we need to work together and find unity, we're getting stuff like this. We're getting stuff like the T-shirts. We're getting stuff. We are singular commissioners who can't. We have to operate in silos. We have to reach out to the community. And when we're operating in silos, and as a singular person, we don't have a team of staff behind us and when we do at the city, they're putting out stuff that seems to mislead or confuse the public we're trying to educate in the first place so that we can ask questions, so we can get honest answers and honest feedback. Now, so what I'm saying is the time frame, I agree with you, Commissioner Perkins. I've gone to different events, specifically in your district, starting with the beginning of this conversation, especially because I wanted to just hear for myself what people were saying. And I wanted to hear what they were wanting and what they were needing and what they were told or what they were believing based on some of this nonsense that we're getting and they're serving. And I'm truly offended that the city, I hope the city, I'm not sure, did the city pay for the T-shirts too, Mr. Harrison? All right, truly offended.
No.
There's $90,000.
They did not pay for T-shirts.
Okay, so, all right, so, okay. Did the CRIP pay for T-shirts?
No, the CRA did not pay for the T-shirts.
Okay, so who paid for the T-shirts, Ms. Sybil?
Well, my answer is neither the city or CRA paid for the T-shirts.
Oh, who did?
Well,
Okay, I said who, yeah, do you know who? Do you know who paid for the T-shirts?
either the city or CRA paid.
That's not what I asked you.
Either the city or CRA paid for the T-shirts.
Paid for all the food out there.
It's a private production, right? And so for the benefit of the city of San. I'm not done.
Okay,
let's. I am
am tired of asking a question and getting a roundabout answer. We have forgotten something here, and I'm going to completely go off unhinged in about 3 seconds. Please stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Ladies and gentlemen, sir, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you once to please be quiet. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I have come to the table. I have come here. I have come and I've met with the developers. I've met with engineers. I've met with so many people in the community to try to get us to a point of finding some common ground. And when I sit here time and time again, and I continue to ask a very direct question, and I continue to get a very roundabout answer, it is very disappointing. You need to remember who we are here. We are the board members. We are the city commission. We are the people who are running this city. And we deserve and demand the respect that we are we all earned, every single one of us. And we're trying to work together. I'm trying to work together. I'm trying to do the best I can for the city of Pompano Beach, for the residents in all of Pompano. That means we do have to look at the questions. We do have to find out what we are obligated to do. We do have to find out how things are doing, and we do not need somebody else working against us. So I would actually encourage, since you can't give me a direct answer, is there anybody here in staff, Mr. Harrison, that knows the answer to that question?
No, ma'am. Those T-shirts were completely privately done. We had nothing whatsoever to do with them.
I didn't ask that. I asked, do you know who did?
No.
Okay. Does anybody in here know who did? Okay. This is.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, this is not public input. Thank you, Commissioner. You.
This is fine. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. So, to go back to Ms. Perkins' movement to get things right. I actually have a few questions about this because I would like to make sure that we all get it right. I would like to.
This is on the motion.
On the motion, I understand,
Postponed to June 4th.
I understand that, but this is the reason I have sat here and I'm getting there. I'm getting there. On the motion to move to June 4th, I'd like to actually add to that potentially not just move this aside, but perhaps maybe we ought to have a workshop where we're all sitting at the table, because to get to the point where you can talk freely and your community can talk freely and it's done in a public forum. Maybe that's the situation to bring what everybody says they want to see at the table.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause.
Let's hammer out the details and let's do it. And if we can do that, if we have to, we can do it before June 4th, right? So that we can get the details together and make sure we're creating the thing that's right for your community and for Pompano Beach as a whole. We can get some of those questions answered. And if we need to do that, that's where I would like. That's what I wanted to start with. And I got plenty more. Don't worry, some later on. But that's on the motion. Thank you.
Commissioner Perkins, it's your motion. So I don't. You would have to change your motion. Your motion is to postpone it to June 4th.
Wait a minute. First of all, you need to bring it down. Because I hear you kept interrupting her.
Well, Commissioner, the reason I was just trying to kind of keep her focused on the motion to postpone. That's what I was doing.
I'm focused. Thank you.
Just to be honest with you.
I am not rescinding my motion. My motion is to postpone this meeting, this special meeting, until June 4th at 6 o'clock.
With all due respect, she seconded, but with all due respect, I mean, we got an item. We can postpone an item. Now, we can keep postponing items, that's fine, but I don't think we can postpone the whole meeting. We're on an item, but if we can postpone it, I mean, if your motion is to postpone this item till June 4th.
She didn't say the item.
Sure. But you said the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Can we postpone everything at once, Mr. Berman, Ms. McKenna? I don't know.
We can, you're on.
Modify your motion.
Oh.
You can postpone the meeting.
Oh.
To a date, time certain, unless
The entire meeting, even though we've got an item open?
that item is placed in abeyance, and when the meeting reopens, we'll be at that same spot.
Okay, very good. So we've got a motion, we got a second. Further discussion on the motion. I've got Vice Mayor, then I've got Commissioner Smith.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, the motion is to postpone the entire special meeting here. Okay.
Yes.
So I appreciate that, because if we're going to do it, my biggest issues are actually on item 2. Look, I think it's hard to look at all this right now. When we arrived today, there's another packet here that's proposed changes to item 2 that none of us have even seen, but it's sitting in front of us. So I look at item 2, and it's an absolute mess. First of all, what was handed out when we walked in, which I agree with Commissioner Fezzik on, and I'm really sick of seeing, is, excuse me, it says that there are 2 votes. There are 4 key votes and 2 votes. One of them is on the master resolution to approve the design for City Hall, and another separate vote to incorporate certain elements into the MDA. That's not true. There's 1 vote, and it's combined. So the city is spending your money to hand this out when you're walking in here, and this is 100% inaccurate on the back. It is not 2 votes. So it is 1 vote. And that 1 vote combines everything in it. It's honestly like, to me, I look at that item and it's like you went to a buffet restaurant and passed through a buffet and just put everything that looked good on your plate, and then you got your plate back to the table and you're like, there's mashed potatoes on my brownies and this looks disgusting. It is inedible. It is absolutely inedible. It includes City Hall. It includes just renovating Pat Larkin Center. It includes maybe a VOTEC school. It includes a grant program. There's some language about housing, about workforce housing, but I don't think it's the right language that actually says that it will be built. It just says they will comply with that part of the code, even though we were told that it would actually be built. So Item 2 is an absolute struggle for me, and I think we really need to work on that if we are going to be asked to vote on it, because it would be irresponsible to vote on Item 2 right now with the way that it is worded and how it is bundled with so many components in it. So I would support pushing that one off, and if that means the whole meeting, so be it. Thank you.
Mayor,
Very good. Commissioner Smith.
Commissioner Smith.
We're in a meeting. We're in the special meeting of the CRA. So is that the meeting that we're going to postpone to June 4th? And then we'll close this and we'll go back to the city commission meeting, which is where we were before, and I voted to move to this meeting. All right, so then we'll go back to the city commission meeting when this one, if that's what you're proposing.
That's what we're doing.
Or could we go ahead and vote on the tax bonds?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
All right, so we're just closing this one, and then we're going to reconvene as the city commission, which is where we were before.
Mayor, and let's go, if you want.
Segerson Eaton?
Yeah, I just want to say, we had a very spirited debate, a lot of great public input throughout the evening, both sides. A lot of people were in favor of a brand new EPAT Larkins, or incorporating the vocational schools. And very often on these types of projects, the first step is the most important part. Things change, circumstances change, things come up, but basically we have the parameters of a good deal. And I just want to say, we have an experienced team of developers in Roca Point and all their staff that have been working with our city as a partner. Mayor?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please.
You know what? I mean, I wish I could make the money they make, but they do what they do. That's why they make the big bucks. If you could do what they do, then you'd be making the big bucks, right? So at any rate, what I'm saying is we have one of the premier bond attorneys. We have a bond attorney to deal with all the legalese and the very complex elements of issuing bonds for the city. And these are bonds that are going to be from the CRA. So the people in District 1, Ms. Smoke, will not be paying for it. All right, do you mind?
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
She needs a warning.
Sir?
I'm not talking. You were talking to me.
No more, sir.
So if you wouldn't mind, just please let me speak and don't interrupt me.
Everybody.
Okay, so.
Quiet. Thank you.
So I'm just saying we have a very good counsel. We've hired outside counsel, and we have a premier public-private partnership council, all to do what is right. Now, I'm not an attorney, and I think the gentleman who does the public has passed the bar. He's probably been practicing for 20 years. I don't think I'll ever get to the point, because I'm not going to law school, and I'm not going to pass the bar and practice law for 20 years, because I'd probably be dead by then. But so we have to trust in the experts that we hire and the architects that we hire and all of the others that we hire. If you're stressed out about thinking that you need to know everything that goes in the contract, I'd just like to tell you, no, that's not your job.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
So I just wanted to say that, and I also want to say that when we talk about private funding versus public, public funding is we get other people to invest in the project. There's no taxpayer dollars that'll be spent out of this. Now, the bond for the infrastructure, that money will be paid out of the TIF revenue that goes to the Northwest CRA. Excuse me, I'm not finished.
Let's try and get back to the motion.
Okay, so, I don't think we should be postponing this forever. I think that if y'all read through this, you will see that Commissioner Perkins has been working with the development group and has procured
Excuse me,
about $5 million. She talked for about 10 minutes. You talked for 10 minutes.
When you call
I'm
my
going to
name, I'm
talk for
gonna
10 minutes.
Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Segerson-Eaton has the floor.
Okay, so she also negotiated for a school, and she negotiated for $5 million
is not
community
true.
fund. You did. It's right here in black and white.
That's not true.
Well, it's in the agreement.
And the
Do
reason...
you not want that?
reason, no, let me just straighten her.
No,
The reason that I asked for a
Commissioner Perkins.
motion is
Commissioner
because it's
Perkins.
I have the floor.
Commissioner
incorrect.
Perkins.
I have the floor. No, it's not.
Perkins. I'm
There
asking.
it is, right here.
You'll have.
Right here.
You'll have time.
In
Commissioner
black and
Segerson.
white.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton, you still have the floor, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's right in here in this agreement,
Just
and
saying.
you'll be happy to show it to
Ladies
you.
and
The agreement
ladies and
is
gentlemen in
incorrect.
the audience, please
So,
let everyone speak.
the
I'm not
agreement
going to
is still
support
incorrect.
postponing this.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Perkins,
Oh, I support the project.
Commissioner
Big time.
Segerson-Eaton, please.
I have the same thing, Commissioner, that you have here that you're talking about. I have that,
Okay.
yes. And what's worded, the way it's worded is incorrect.
Okay.
That's what I'm telling you.
Okay,
You're talking about a number, and I'm telling you it's incorrect.
okay. Very good.
So,
Okay, Commissioner Segerson-Eaton, Commissioner Perkins has the floor.
I'm done,
Okay. Further discussion on the motion.
right here.
Commissioner Fessick. I'm sorry? Okay.
Mayor, may I respond?
Nothing further on the motion. Let's go ahead and call the
Mayor.
roll on the motion to postpone this meeting. So, I'm sorry, Ms. Sybil.
Sorry, I've been trying. I don't know where the sponge went again, but I'll just keep going. Jeez. So, Commissioner Perkins, so I know, right? And as Commissioner Fessick has said in the past, sometimes perception is seen as truth, right? If the community feels there's no trust, we haven't delivered, that's the sentiment in the community. I can't fix that sentiment in the past.
No, because you've never tried to help the community to fix it anyway.
May I finish, please?
You've never tried to help my
I'd like to
community.
finish.
Commissioner.
That's all I'm asking. So, and you said to me before, I don't communicate enough with you. That's why you don't know what I've done for the Northwest. So that's fine. I'll agree to communicate more with you going forward. Absolutely. I'm open to doing that. Absolutely. But what I can say is I've been open to meeting on this list for months. You've been meeting with the developer. Yesterday, you met with the developer again. And at the last hour, I'd like to finish, please.
Yes, well, let me just say to you, let me stop you because you're getting an attitude and I don't like it. Let me just say this to you, Miss Suzette. Let me say this to you.
Commissioner Perkins. Commissioner Perkins.
No.
Okay, we're taking a 10-minute recess. That's it. This meeting is going to be adjourned until a date in the future, which will be renoticed. The special meeting of City Commission. This meeting is now going to be adjourned and be renoticed. How's that?